The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports. Many in the crowd at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa have bought tickets in the hope of seeing the professional football debut of the Rocket. They've already been disappointed, and so now it remains for the rest of Adam Rita's Toronto Argos and the Ottawa Rough Riders under Steve Goldman to play the 1991 season opener on the CFL on CBC. Bruce McNall, John Candy, and Wayne Gretzky brought Hollywood Blitz to Toronto when they bought the Argos in February, and then created an even bigger story when they signed the most expensive football player in the world. Raghib Ismail, hereinafter referred to as the Rocket, dazzled at Notre Dame. A consensus #1 NFL draft pick, he opted for Canada and immediately began a honeymoon with fans and media. No other CFL signing was ever as heralded as this one. Reporters hung on Rocket's every word. The combination of player and owners, surely the best thing to happen to the CFL in recent memory. A story that not even an institute of higher broadcasting like the CBC could resist. Then it came time for football, and the Rocket has been proven only human. A muscle pull just days into training camp has rendered him inactive. He got no closer to action than the bench in both Argo preseason games, and the most often asked question in the days leading up to the CFL season opener, would the Rocket play? Conditions are good in the nation's capital for a rocket launch, but the Rocket will stay on the pad for at least one more week. The launch is on hold. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Ottawa, where the major story of this game is not who will play in it, but who will not. We've known since yesterday morning that Rocket Ismail will not play tonight. The Rocket held a press conference in Toronto yesterday to confirm the injury he suffered in training camp will keep him out of tonight's game, and to declare that he's as frustrated about it as anybody else. He is in Ottawa for the game. Late this afternoon, he arrived with Argo owner Bruce McNall and company on the owner's private jet. And about 90 minutes ago, they got to Lansdowne Park, where Ismail faced another media contingent, answering, it seemed, innumerable questions about his state of health and his state of mind. He has yet to catch a pass, yet to return a punt or a kick, but he holds the CFL record for press conferences. Raghib Ismail is with us now to answer one more question yet. It's not a new one, it's a pretty obvious one. When do you think you can play?
I think that I feel that I can play today, but the doctors told me that that wouldn't be smart. And they told me that it's going to be something where if everything goes the way they think it should go with the test and everything, I should be ready next week.
Gib, thanks for your time now. We're happy to say that you've agreed to join us on Live at the Half to talk about some of the intense scrutiny you've been under and perhaps some of the wild speculation you've been the subject of. We look forward to seeing you then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, Raghib Ismail's signing in the offseason was certainly the most talked about transaction in the CFL, but there was one that greatly affected our CFL on CBC crew. Before we get to that, there's John Candy now entering the stadium, one of the Argo partners, and as you can see, he's a big hit with this crowd. And I was saying that Ron Lancaster, our Hall of Fame quarterback and our expert analyst, returned to coaching with the Edmonton Eskimos. And so tonight, we welcome to our broadcast crew a former coach and general manager in this league, Joe Galad, who was in the booth to describe the proceedings with Don Whitman.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everybody. Joe, welcome to our CBC CFL crew. We look forward to working with you. And the climb to the Lansdowne press box is every bit as difficult as it was in 1988.
Well, the 1988 climb, one fingertip away from winning the Grey Cup, wasn't much fun.
That was in 1988 when Joe was general manager of the BC Lions and they lost to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup game right here. Apart from the Rocket, what do you look for tonight between the Argos and the Rough Riders?
Well, the fans in Ottawa are saying that the Rocket's a Milli Vanilli of football, but the players, they're saying we don't care who plays. We're going to go out and hit people, and it doesn't matter how fast they are because we'll catch them.
Well, both the Ottawa Rough Riders and the Toronto Argonauts have high hopes for this 1991 season. Both are expected to have explosive offenses. Scott?
Well, if $18 million of the Rockets' contract is guaranteed, then he's collecting about $250,000 for not playing tonight, and this is a man who's paying a substantial portion of it. Principal Argonaut owner Bruce McNall. Bruce, you're used to very positive press. You get lots of it for the way you handle the Kings in the NHL. You got lots when you bought the Argos and signed the Rocket in the CFL, but in the past week, this has become something of a negative story. Has it been handled properly?
Well, I think that if everybody knew all the facts from the beginning, it would have been a lot easier, frankly. But you know, it's one of those things that nobody really knew exactly what was happening from the standpoint of his thigh. The injury was there. We were all concerned about it. He was very frustrated. He wanted to play, and he kept saying, "I want to play." But I have this thing, so we took him to Los Angeles and had the Kings doctor Lombardo look at him as well and said, "No, he's got this injury," and bingo, there we are. But in a way, you always wish that things could have been handled a little bit smoother, but with injuries like this, there's no certainties about anything.
I must ask you about the Los Angeles trip. I know that it was in part to receive a second medical opinion, but we also understand that it was a pre-planned business trip. What about the prudency of being in Los Angeles away from his team for 4 or 5 days on the eve of them preparing for the season opener?
Well, one of the things that's happened, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, is we're trying to sell the sport all around the world, basically, and make sure that Canadian football has a little attention. And about 4 or 5 weeks ago, the CFL, we were able to make a deal for the trading card business for the CFL in general. And one of the requirements that they had was for him to be there at this big show. So we made an arrangement for him to come out for 1 day, something I'm used to with Wayne a lot. It happens even during the season with him too. Get used to these things. And because that came along, we decided to try to have the second medical opinion at the same time.
Well, you know now with each practice he misses, each game he doesn't play, the pressure mounts. It's enormous now, and I'm wondering if you still feel confident that when he takes the field to play a game, he'll do something to prove he's worth the money and that you'll feel you can recover the investment.
Well, you certainly hope so. You know, I'm sure that he's used to pressure. I mean, it seems like a lot of pressure at the moment. He's used to it at Notre Dame, too, let's face it. He's a young man who's been used to pressure all of his life. This is not unusual. I wouldn't be too concerned with it, and I'm sure when he gets on the field, he'll get a lot of people, a lot of thrills.
The suggestion would be he'll play next week at the Sky Dome before the hometown fans, even if he's on a stretcher. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, we'll wheel him out there. Actually, you know, he's okay now. It's just that he hadn't practiced in 3 weeks, hadn't been out in condition at all for 3 weeks because of the injury held him back. So as I understand it now, the doctor said that his injury is now okay. He just has to get back in practice, get in game shape, and I'm sure he'll be able to play next week.
Bruce, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Happy to, no problem.
Well, you might think the Rough Rider players are happy the Rocket is not playing tonight, but such is not the case for some of those who are hoping to build on their reputations by stopping the game's highest paid player, and one of those would be Rough Rider cornerback Andre Francis. The Riders signed him as a free agent from the Edmonton Eskimos in the offseason. If Ismail had played at wide receiver tonight, he would have lined up at times against Andre Francis, who is a 2-time CFL All-Star.
Well, definitely, you know, all off-season long, you know, I was very, you know, enlightened to hear that he signed with us, a marquee player like that, and I certainly pride myself in accepting all challenges coming out there at the corner, and this would have been no different.
How much motivation is drawn from the fact that if you were to get the chance to play against him, that you're making a mere fraction of what he is?
Oh, no, the numerical aspect doesn't even tie into it because I'm doing something I've always wanted to do as a kid, and so is he.
Having missed this chance, it'll now be September 29th before Francis and his teammates get another crack at the Rocket, and that again will be here at Lansdowne Park, much to the delight of this woman, Riders general manager Joanne Polak, who is looking at a crowd probably larger than you would have had not many of these tickets been bought in anticipation of the Rocket playing. If he was playing, could you have sold it out?
There's a couple of issues involved. There's the fact that this game is being broadcast in our local market for the first time. There's the fact that he's not playing. It's hard to say what all the variables would have added up to, but there's no question the interest in this game has been higher than anything I've seen since I've been here.
Well, you've had to try no end of things to get fans in the ballpark in the past few years. Did the Rocket make it a little bit easy for you this time?
Yeah, it was really nice because nobody can blame me for this one. No, it was nice. He really did, you know, so many people talked about this game this week. There's not a person in this market who doesn't know the Rough Riders are playing the Argos here at Lansdowne tonight.
Joanne, when the Rocket was signed, there was some concern about his huge contract throwing the CFL salary structure out of whack, but you knew the schedule when he was signed. I suppose that you were delighted that Bruce McNall CFL signed him and paid him all that money because he was coming here first until the injury.
There's no question. As soon as I heard that they'd signed him, I looked at the schedule and just about fell off my chair, realizing that his debut was supposed to be here at Lansdowne. But it's kind of a nice way to start the season with this kind of hype, and I think he's going to be nothing but good things for every single park across the country.
All right, Joanne, we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Scott.
Fans settling into their seats here at Lansdowne Park. They will not see Rocket Ismail play tonight, but we should not forget that Toronto Argo games against the Ottawa Rough Riders are often very entertaining. We'll return to Lansdowne Park in just a moment. Just a few moments, the Argos and Rough Riders will open the 1991 CFL season. The league has got through 78 seasons without the Rocket. I suppose it can make it through one more game. If you've just joined us, we've been talking about the delay in the pro debut of Rocket Ismail, who will not play tonight. Let's talk about somebody who will. 9-year CFL veteran Jeff Boyd is back with the Argos. He thought he was done with the team because of a contract dispute. The Argos thought they didn't need him with Ismail in the lineup. But with Ismail out, it didn't take long for the Argos to agree to Boyd's demand for some upfront money, and he rejoined the team on Monday.
Well, I'm just going to go out and try and catch the ball. Going into training camp, they had me penciled in opposite Rocket, so I don't know what the situation is. I just want to go and catch the ball. I think when Rocket gets here, he's going to help us tremendously. So I'm just looking forward to playing with him.
Jeff Boyd's a classy receiver. He caught passes last year for over 1,000 yards, and that total raises a very interesting point. That is that even without the Rocket, the Argos still have substantial talent. Now let's go back to the broadcast booth to rejoin Don and Joe Gillette.
Thanks again, Scott. Joe, the man you have replaced in the broadcast booth, is standing by at Taylor Field in Regina. Ron Lancaster makes his Edmonton Eskimo coaching debut tomorrow night, going into Taylor Field against the team he starred with for so many years, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Ron, what are your feelings?
Kind of excited, Don. You know, it's the first game of the year, and, you know, what a better place to come than Taylor Field. You know the excitement that's always generated here. We're just happy to have our Eskimo club down here.
I just wondered, Ron, if you had your mind set up in reverse now. You have to give your comments and call the play before the play instead of calling the play after the play. How's it working out?
I did a better job last year than I did in the first two games. Also, I need some replays down there.
Ron, I've got a question. Who is Bev going to cheer for? Son Ron is an assistant coach with the Argos. Your son-in-law is the assistant general manager with the Rough Riders.
Well, I heard her answer that question to both of them. She knows who she lives with, is the way she put it.
Ron, how good a club do the Eskimos have this year?
We got 9 changes from last year's Grey Cup team. We don't really know right now. We're a little behind offensively because of the new coaches, new system. The only thing I can tell you about our football club, Don, is that they came to camp ready to play. They practiced hard, and we're going to play hard on every play.
Ron, what has the reception been like in Regina on your return today?
Well, when you know they're having a reunion of the 1966 Grey Cup team here, so all my buddies are in town, and they got a big things planned for later this evening, and a lot of things tomorrow. I'm going to try to skip most of that. But it's been one heck of a reception.
Well, Ron, we certainly enjoyed the association over the past 10 years and wish you all the best as head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos.
Well, Don, I'll tell you what, if Joe, you don't realize what a great bunch of guys you got to work with there. I know you enjoy it. Don, keep up the good work, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks.
Okay, Ron, thank you. Joe, let's talk about tonight's game. The Ottawa Rough Riders have made some changes. One offensively they think will help, the addition of a wide receiver by the name of Eddie Brown.
Well, that Eddie Brown can fly. He can run a hole into the wind. And what they're looking for in Eddie Brown is the deep threat. So that's what they've got, and he's a great punt returner as well.
Eddie Brown and Stephan Jones will provide the deep threats from those wide receiver positions for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Defensively, they've added a middle linebacker from the Edmonton Eskimos, a man you initially brought into the league in BC, Jeff Braswell.
Well, you're going to put that on me. Let's make no mistake about Jeff Braswell. He may be a little bit of a crazy guy off the field, but he's a football player. He loves to hit people, and he's going to do that tonight.
And there have been a few antics of Jeff Braswell on the field that fans across the league have made note of in the past couple of years with both BC and Edmonton. The Toronto Argonauts have Matt Dunnigan directing the attack. Last year they recorded a record number of points, and Dunnigan did not play the entire season. He could have a big year.
The thing about Matt Dunnigan is that he is not just a quarterback. He's an honorary lineman. He's that tough. So when you have Matt Dunnigan in there, you've got a guy that wants to win, shows that he wants to win. He's a good team leader.
And Matt Dunnigan has a tremendous number of offensive tools to work with. One of the most important is his leading pass receiver last year, Darrell K. Smith. He equaled the league record for touchdowns, grabbing 20 passes and putting the ball into the end zone. So Darrell Smith will undoubtedly be a favorite target of Matt Dunnigan.
Darrell K. Smith has said some things about the Rocket that he didn't like, and he's going to have a chance now to show us that he's the football player that can do some evaluating on rookies. So this will be his night.
Well, Darrell K. Smith looks to duplicate his performance of last season, and there will be a tremendous number of those to assist him in that Toronto Argonaut offensive machine. Scott?
All right, Don, and once again this season we'll keep our audience current on what's going on in the CFL on Live at the Half. And tonight here at Lansdowne Park, we repeat, we'll be joined live by the most talked about player who is not playing tonight. Rocket Ismail will be with us to discuss the tough start to his CFL career. And once again, we'll go west, this time to join another member of our CFL on CBC broadcast crew. Another edition, Dan Kepley standing by there. He's a former linebacking great with the Edmonton Eskimos, and Kep will handicap the West Division for us. That's all on Live at the Half. And so we've taken care of business. The kickoff is coming up, but right now we send you to the national anthem.
When we asked how she wished to be introduced this evening, she replied, "Oh, just something short and sweet." And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we ask that you please stand now for "O Canada" as sung by the short and sweet Kayana.
It's an absolutely beautiful evening in the nation's capital, a temperature of 26 degrees. Earlier this afternoon there was some cloud and the threat of a rain shower or two, but the skies have cleared and it should be an ideal situation for this season opener between the Ottawa Rough Riders and the Toronto Argonauts. Hank Olisic is preparing to kick off. Steve Goldman in his third year as head coach of the Ottawa Rough Riders, looking to improve upon the 7-11 record his team posted a year ago. Adam Rita, an assistant for a number of years under Don Matthews in BC, followed Matthews to Toronto, and now is the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts. And he is the man that many give credit to for installing this very explosive offense that the Argos use. Reggie Barnes and Stefan Jones are back to return the kickoff. Reggie Barnes will let it bounce out of bounds at the 22-yard line, so that means the Toronto Argonauts will perform that kickoff chore over again. Hank Olisic, Joe, probably has the strongest leg of any kickoff man in the CFL.
I know that's certainly the truth, but there's one thing that we've always marveled at. The field is 65 yards wide. They can kick a field goal from anywhere on the field, but they can't keep it inbounds on a kickoff. That drives coaches crazy. You can bet that Adam Reed in his rookie campaign out here is wondering what is going on.
Barnes was number 2 in CFL rushing last year behind the leader, Robert Mims of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So the ball moves back to the 30-yard line as the Toronto Argonauts' Hank Olisic prepares to kick off again from this unusual kickoff formation. Everyone scatters as Olisic moves up to the football. Stephan Jones will take it this time at the 16-yard line. And he's bounced out of bounds at the 42 by Carl Brazeley. So it'll be 1st and 10 at that point, but Stephan Jones is limping as he moves back into the huddle for the Ottawa Rough Riders. The attack will be directed by Damon Allen.
Damon is thinking right now he's got good field position on the 42-yard line. He wants nothing better than to get a nice drive going here, take advantage of that good field position.
Steve Goldman was saying yesterday that he feels Damon Allen has matured from his first 2 seasons with the Ottawa Rough Riders. He runs the football on 1st down, will pick up about 5 yards. The tackle is made by Darryl Ford. Don Moen applied the initial pressure.
Damon Allen has that ability to run with the football, and of course with the running back of Reggie Barnes, he knows that he's got a good solid running back, and Eddie Brown, the wide speedster, he's got all the tools that he needs.
Brown goes wide left. Stephan Jones comes wide to the right. On 2nd down, the pass is complete to Wilcox. David Conrad. And he is stopped short of a 1st down by Carl Brazeley. He is going to be about 1.5 yards shy of a 1st down. And it looks as though Steve Goldman has opted to go for it.
Well, that shows something good, and I know Brian Warren's a good pass rusher. He's got to go against a good short yardage man in Chris Gaines, and they're very strong at the corner with Ed Berry, but it's going to be Gaines who's going to make a difference on this play in the short yardage situation. The running of the Bulls.
3rd down gamble. Damon Allen keeps, and he has the 1st down, moving the ball up to the 54-yard line.
That's good. That shows good leadership on Damon's part. 1 yard to go. He knows that he's the guy that can do it easier than anybody else.
There was an expectation on the part of the Toronto Argonauts that they would see a lot more sprint out action from Damon Allen in this ball game tonight than they saw last year, and they feel that's when he's most effective.
I think Damon likes the sprint out. He likes the play pass, confuse the defense a little bit, keep the linebackers in tight.
1st and 10 from the 54. Sideline pattern taken out of bounds by Brock Smith.
You're going to see a lot of this patient type offense because what they're getting is zone coverage, soft zone. They're willing to give the short play and hope that Damon doesn't get them on the big deep patterns with Eddie Brown. So they're playing a lot of zone coverage on Eddie.
Brock Smith is another newcomer to this Ottawa offense this year. On 2nd and 6. Penalty flag on the play. Damon Allen tried to run out of there. He was tripped up by Darryl Ford.
What you saw was a good blitz, and I think this is the key to the game. If they can control the blitzing, they are going to have a good football game as the Ottawa offense averaged 30 points last year, so they've got the potential.
Holding, Ottawa 25, decline, 3rd down.
They failed to gain yards, so as a result, the Toronto Argonauts decline the holding penalty. And Terry Baker moves back to the 40-yard line for this 3rd down punt. Mike Clemens is the lone man back. Last year, he established a league record for total yards, 3,300 yards. And this one goes out of bounds at the 24-yard line. So with 12-12 remaining in the opening quarter, it's still scoreless here at Lansdowne Park. Matt Dunnigan, the Toronto quarterback, did not complete the season last year. He was injured for a good portion of the year. Threw the ball 262 times, completed 144, 17 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. A healthy Matt Dunnigan could make an already powerful Toronto offense even more effective.
Don't be deceived by Matt Dunnigan's blonde hair and blue eyes. He's not a West Coast guy. He's from Texas, born in Ohio.
First and 10. The ball is at the 24. Dunnigan throws deep, well over the head of the intended receiver. Andrew Murray and Jeff Boyd were both in that area, but Dunnigan overthrew the two of them.
Dunnigan's got a great situation because he's got the threat of Mike Clements in the backfield, and he's got Darrell K. Smith, who's done everything you can do as a receiver. And, of course, Matt can run the option play himself. He can throw the football. A lot of keys.
Second and 10. The ball is at the 24. Dunnigan will run it. And Dunnigan will get the first down up across the 35-yard line. These quarterbacks, Dunnigan and Allen, were teammates at one time with the Edmonton Eskimos, and they are similar style. They can both run with the football.
Would Carl Foley please report to the rider?
Well, they need the pass rush out of Greg Stuman, and more importantly, they need Jeff Braswell to come up and make tackles on the quarterback scrambles like you just saw.
First and 10 from the 36. Clemens takes the ball on the sidelines, lost the football. Who's got it? The Argonauts, I believe, have recovered. It appeared as though Keith Kelly came up to pounce on that football after Daniel Hunter stripped Mike Clemens.
Ball recovered by Kelly. Kelly.
It's just a flat pass, and what happened is there's a real good effort here by Hunter, knocking the ball loose. That gets them thinking. That gets the offense worried about getting a good lick put on it.
Second down and about 2 as Kelly made the recovery. And Kelly is the ball carrier and should have the first down.
First down.
He moves it out to the 49-yard line, stopped there by Brian Bonner.
Tackle made by Bonner.
Bonner is a newcomer to the Ottawa Rough Riders this season at that linebacking position. Actually, the only familiar face back there for the Rough Riders is Patrick Wayne. First and 10. The ball is at the 49, 9:57 remaining in the opening quarter. Boyd, the receiver, looking for a first down. He appears to have been stopped about a yard short by Charles Wright.
They're giving him an awful lot of room underneath. And what Matt Dunnigan is doing, he's spreading his receivers way out past the numbers. He's really got the defense spread out. He's giving himself some room underneath.
It's close enough to call for a measurement. Referee Jacques Terry, the man in charge tonight.
Well, there's another official this year, Don. So hopefully we won't see more flags. We'll see more calls on receptions. I think that's the biggest value, and of course the sidelines. The officials are going to rotate like football players do, and they're going to play zone coverage on some occasions, and then they'll be man-to-man on the pass route. So there'll be technically there'll be an official on every receiver, and I think that's an improvement.
It's about a yard shy of a first down. It will be second and about a yard.
Second and 1.
Well, there's a few plays that could happen here. It could be run into the brick wall, or it could be push your automobile off the tracks because a train's coming. We'll see how they do.
Dunnigan is going to throw it. It's complete for a big first down. Trumaine Johnson down at the 30-yard line. And the Toronto Argonauts on second and short go for the big pass, but Dunnigan walks back to the huddle, and that left arm he appears to be favoring.
One thing that Matt Dunnigan knows is that he's got some veterans at the receiver position, and what he did on a 1 yard to go situation is he spread everybody out, took advantage of their defense thinking tight play.
He may have taken a hit on that left arm from Lloyd Lewis, who made the tackle just as Dunnigan threw the ball. The reverse with Mike Clemens. Patrick Wayne is the man who makes the tackle. They couldn't seal him off. He did an excellent job of fighting off the block of Bob Skemp and managed to bring down Mike Clemens, limiting the gain to about 2.5, maybe 3 yards.
Patrick Wayne does a great job of containing the football. He plays off, he skates to the outside. Michael Clemens has no place to go. I'm surprised Toronto's running as much as they have already.
2nd and 8. Dunnigan puts it in the air. Darrell Smith, incomplete. He had maneuvered in behind Daniel Hunter, but couldn't reach the throw of Matt Dunnigan. 7:51, the time remaining in the opening quarter. It's still scoreless, but the Argos will try and get on the board as we see that pass to Smith again.
That's a beautiful cut. He did a good job of faking the post, and then he broke it back out to the flag. And I think had the ball been thrown a little bit better, it's a touchdown.
Lance Chomick was in a training camp battle for the place-kicking job with the Argos with a former Ottawa Rough Rider, Dean Dorsey. Chomick won the job, will try a 33-yard field goal. It's good. So the Toronto Argonauts are first on the board with a 33-yard Lance Chomick field goal. 7:31 remains in the quarter. Last year, the Canadian Football League operated with 6 officials. This year, there are 7. The new official is referred to as the side judge, and the league feels, the officiating staff feel, that this will allow them to completely box all plays and in most instances allow at least 2 and in many situations 3 looks from various locations at the majority of plays.
I think you'll get much better coverage on the receivers, and so many of them are adapted catching that football down low to the ground and trapping it. This way every receiver will be looked at.
First and 10 Ottawa. Barnes, the ball carrier, he stopped after a 2-yard pickup. You know, there's been some concern in Ottawa that Reggie Barnes might have the same type of sophomore year as did Orville Lee. Orville Lee won the Rookie of the Year award in 1988, tailed off badly in 1989, was subsequently traded to Saskatchewan. Barnes won the Rookie Award last year, 1,260 yards, but he has had a very poor preseason. 2nd and 8, 6:57 remaining in this opening quarter. Damon Allen gets away from the initial pressure, trying to run for a first down, and he'll get it taken out of bounds, and there's a penalty flag. A late hit will be assessed against the Toronto Argonauts as Damon Allen was taken down heavily as he scampered out of bounds. Carl Brazeley and Darrell Ford made the contact, and I think they're going to call Darrell Ford with the late hit.
Yeah.
Chris Gaines applied the original pressure coming up the middle, and that's what Damon Allen escaped from, and with the penalty tacked on, it's a big gain, Ottawa.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto number 21, first down.
Chris Gaines comes in, number 38, and he's looking to make the sack. Not picked up. Damon Allen shows his leadership and his running ability. That's a good play on Damon's part.
So that moves the ball to the 48-yard line. 1st and 10 Ottawa, 6:35 remaining in this opening quarter. The Argos lead 3-0. Damon Allen trying to dance around, but this time he couldn't escape Darrell Ford. Brian Warren actually forced Damon Allen back to the inside, and then Ford was there to finish off the job. Brian Warren, of course, was a member of the Ottawa Rough Riders a year ago. He was traded to the Toronto Argonauts for quarterback John Conjemi in the offseason.
Warren, of course, saw the play coming with the set of the Ottawa backfield.
Let's go, love. Let's go, love.
A loss on the play of 3, 2nd and 13. Damon Allen over the middle to block.
There's Eddie Brown, the fellow that we talked about, and he's got great speed. He pushes off the receivers, got a nice clearing pattern, broke it underneath the zone, and made a super catch. What Eddie Brown has the ability to do is to threaten deep. And when the defensive backs know that he's got that deep threat, they're giving him a lot of cushion. Nice catch, Eddie Brown.
1st and 10, Ottawa. They are at the 26. Damon Allen under pressure from Gaines again. He escapes. Throws to the sidelines, and I think he was simply throwing that away as Eddie Brown was being covered on the sidelines. Harold Hallman was applying the pressure, and he stayed with Damon Allen, forcing him to toss that ball to the sidelines.
If there's one thing that Ottawa's got to do is they got to start picking up the blitzes. The problem, it looks like, is communication in the front line. It looked like it was Gerald Roper's man because he turned out and finally came back and got him, but not after some nifty maneuvering by Damon Allen just to get the play off.
It will be 2nd and 10. The ball at the 26. 4:56 remaining in this opening quarter. 3-0 the Argos lead on a 33-yard field goal by Lance Chomick. The screen to Conrad, and Conrad gets inside the 20-yard line. He stopped short of a first down. Rodney Harding got through quickly on Damon Allen. And Conrad actually was ahead of those out front trying to block for him on that screen.
Harding did a good job of putting pressure on here. Damon had to get the ball off. He got it off, but unfortunately there wasn't any blockers in front of the screen. So that's sort of a risky screen.
He fired it into a crowd. It did not produce a first down, but Terry Baker, who has taken over the place-kicking chores, will try one from the 25-yard line. John Kangemi holding, and the kick is good. So with 3:57 remaining in the first quarter, the game is tied at 3. First few weeks as a head coach have not been easy for Adam Rita. Of course, all the turmoil surrounding the Rocket. He was disappointed, obviously, at not having the Rocket for this season opener, but he feels his passing attack is in pretty capable hands with experienced receivers such as Trumaine Johnson and Jeff Boyd ready to accept those throws from quarterback Matt Dunnigan. Jeff Boyd has only had 2 practices with the Argos, but he is certainly familiar with the Toronto system. Mike Clemens on this kickoff return tried to go wide, slipped, still stays on his feet, loses the football. Ottawa claims they've got it. Do the officials agree? Yes.
Looks like some great hitting down there, and what happens to Clemens, he wouldn't be very good in flag football. Somebody'd reach out and grab his flag every time. He loves to give the hip and then take it away. Unfortunately, when he gives the hip and tries to take it away, there's a nice play on the football. Knocked the ball out.
And Tracy Gravely is the man who got in there to scoop it up. And the Ottawa Rough Riders get the big turnover, 1st and 10 at the 33 of the Argos. There's the fake to Barnes. Damon Allen throwing to the sidelines, and he underthrew the intended receiver, Gerald Wilcox.
Really tough because Don Moen is right there on the bootleg fake. He's right in his face. Damon Allen's got to get better protection. He's getting a lot of problems on the blitzes.
Don Wilson had dropped off to cover Gerald Wilcox as you see another the pressure blitz coming up the middle.
As you see, another blitz, and Gaines has been very active blitzing today.
Eddie Brown goes wide left, 2nd and 10. Allen for Wilcox, incomplete. He was being covered by Don Wilson.
Intended for Wilcox. Down again by Wilson.
Damon Allen is looking for the post cut. Well-executed play. great defensive play. Of course, knocked that ball loose. They have to settle for another field goal. Terry Baker hasn't been able to do many field goals. He did it in university, but this is his first chance this year as a pro.
He was good on his first attempt. This will be a 40-yarder. It is certainly an advantage to a team when they can have the same individual handling both the place-kicking chores and the punting work, and Terry Baker is 2 for 2 in his CFL debut in a league game as a placement kicker. So with 2:40 remaining in this first quarter, the Ottawa Rough Riders lead it by a 6-3 margin. A good crowd in attendance at Lansdowne Park tonight. The previous Ottawa record for a season opener was 25,391 back in 1978. There were some who anticipated that even without the Rocket tonight, they would exceed 26,000. We haven't had the official crowd count as yet, but it does look to be very close to that 26,000 mark. With the Rocket in the lineup, Joanne Polak, as she said in the pregame show and discussing the game with Scott Oake, thought that they would sell out without any difficulty.
This is a tough ballpark to play in. The crowd is right on the field, very similar to Winnipeg and Saskatchewan.
Clemens on the kickoff return, starting from the 20-yard line. And he's brought down as he gets out to the 37-yard line, tackled there by Brian Bonner. On the sidelines, let's bring in Scott Oake.
Don, looks like a fairly serious injury for the Ottawa Rough Riders. May not be serious personally for Charles Wright, the cornerback, but it could affect the team if they have to hold him out for a while. He's hurt his shoulder. They've examined him extensively, and I think they're taking him off to the dressing room now for a closer look. Of course, he was one of their big acquisitions late last season. They look to him to shore up their secondary, and they'll be in some difficulty if he cannot return to this game.
So with Wright out, that means that Lance Shields moves to the corner, and Tracy Gravely goes inside at the halfback position. 1st and 10. Dunnigan is in some trouble. He gets away from Stuman. And then Stuman finally gets back in the play to track him down at the 45. It's a gain of 8 yards. It will be 2nd and 2.
Stuman is the outside rush man. He always goes to the wide side of the field. And he put tremendous pressure on Matt, but he missed the tackle, and that's not easy to do with Matt Dunnigan. Two good athletes.
There's the pitch to Clemens. Clemens gets away from Braswell and is brought down at the 52, but he does have the first down. Scott Flagle from his safety position came up to make the tackle.
Good for the first down.
Braswell slowed him down and set it up for Flagle, but Matt Dunnigan is running the option play. He likes to do that. He likes to change up with the defense because it is virtually a sideline pass.
1st and 10. The Argos are at their own 52-yard line with 1:07 remaining in this opening quarter. Here comes the pressure from Kolka. Dunnigan got the pass away just in time, but Kolka came in from the backside untouched.
Both teams are doing a good job of pressure. And Kolka comes in and just beats his man to the outside and really puts the knockdown on Matt Dunnigan. An outside rush. This shows a lot of arm strength on Kolka's part because he puts Matt on the turf. And a lot of quarterbacks don't like to get knocked down. Matt, he loves it.
45 seconds remaining. It's 2nd and 10. Dunnigan rolls to his right for Trumaine Johnson for a first down at the 38-yard line. Andre Francis was over there to make the tackle.
Trumaine Johnson played for Mike McCarthy when he was the general manager, the personnel director of the Chicago Blitz. So Mike knows what he can do. Good speed, good body control. He sells the defender, Andre Francis, on the inside, makes a clean outside break, but a well-thrown pass by Matt Dunnigan.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 38-yard line. This should be the final play of the opening quarter.
Over the middle, the pass is complete to Trumaine Johnson for another first down inside the 15. And that is the final play of the opening quarter as Dunnigan connects on back-to-back passes to Johnson and takes the ball down inside the 15. 6-3, Ottawa leads.
No, that's all right.
We start the second quarter with the Argos 1st and 10. The ball is at the 14 of the Ottawa Rough Riders. 3 receivers wide to the left. Dunnigan throws to the left, and it's well over the head of Darrell K. Smith. There appeared to be a mix-up in communication between Smith and Dunnigan. And on many of the patterns that the Argos run, Joe, there are signals that take place between the receiver and the quarterback, and there could have been some miscommunication there.
Especially down on the goal line, Dunnigan loves to do that. We've seen Matt do that so many times. He loves to audible, call it at the line of scrimmage by the defensive lineman. And the 2 wide receivers just had a walkout and a holdout. That's a little tough to get back into training camp and get the communication the way it should be.
Dunnigan throws over the middle. It's knocked away. Fine defensive play by Sean Footy. Andrew Murray was the intended receiver, but Footy came across to knock it down.
It'll be 3rd down.
Footy had a tough year last year. He missed a good portion of the season as a result of an injury.
Well, it looks like we have a little bit of a snare there on Smith. Number 27, Hunter picked him up and made it pull the jersey a bit. But Dunnigan all the way was looking for that thing to be touchdown. And Footy did a great job. They thought they had the mismatch, but Footy showed them he's an enthusiastic ball player, and he really is.
Lance Chomick with the field goal to tie the game at 6. 13:51 remaining in this first half here at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, the season opener in the Canadian Football League. And the Rough Riders and the Argos have moved the football rather well, even though neither side has been able to put it in the end zone thus far. The Argos with 112 yards in offense, and they are expected to be a passing team most of the season, and that is reflected in the statistics tonight. The Ottawa Rough Riders with 43 yards through the air. The Argos surprisingly have the edge in the rushing department.
Turnovers, of course, are a big thing, and Michael Clements has 2 fumbles, but I think what Ottawa has to do is pick up the blitzes. If they can stop the pressure, they're going to be all right.
Stephan Jones on the kickoff return from the 15-yard line, and he gets an opening. And then is knocked down by the kicker, Hank Olisic, as he got up to the 40-yard line. Good field position for the Rough Riders. Scott?
Well, Don, there's no sort of casual access to the Argos bench tonight. You may be able to see all the photographers gathered around here. They're all trying to get the quintessential shot of the star himself, Rocket Ismail, who, of course, is not playing. So they posted extra security here at the Argos bench, and no one is able to get close to it, except, of course, if you're wearing the blue CBC jacket, a guy like me, and I know I can get by you, can't I? Is it okay if I go onto the Argo bench? No? No? Okay, thanks anyway. I guess not, Don.
Things haven't changed for you, have they, Scott? Reggie Barnes out to the midfield stripe. That will be a gain of about 9 yards. Barnes made his debut in impressive fashion last year in the CFL, running for 189 yards in his very first appearance against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. As a matter of fact, he had a couple of very strong games last year against Hamilton.
They pulled everybody on this play. It's student body right on the counter play, the guard, tackle. Everyone's pulling to the backside or the counter side, but Barnes has that leg drive. When he gets tackled, he still makes 2 yards, and that's why they're measuring for the first down.
He's just a little shy of a first down. The ball right at the midfield stripe.
One of the things about the Rocket that people don't seem to understand is when you're at Notre Dame, you got 150 ball players. The lines are 10 deep. You only get one chance to run a route every 5 minutes. Here in the CFL, you run a pass route every 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and all of a sudden you're going to pull a leg muscle, and he wasn't used to the short lines. Players hate short lines.
Well, everyone, of course, is anxious to see what he will do when he does get into uniform, and hopefully that will be next Thursday night at the Skydome in Toronto when the Argos open at home against the Hamilton Ticats, and, of course, we'll be there to provide television coverage on the CBC network. Barnes set things up with that good run, and then the Ottawa Rough Riders pick up the first down, taking the ball to the 52.
Well, there's the coach with the chalkboard. I've always enjoyed this because the player just got poked in the eye and the coach is showing him what to do in the chalkboard. The guy's blind, he can't see. Sweat pouring down in his eye.
Still trying to get the message across nonetheless. And there was a bit of a message delivered there by Don Wilson to David Conrad as he came up to apply the hit just as Conrad was reaching for that football.
That's what you do in zone coverage. They call it 5 yards and a headache, because in zone coverage you lay off, and then when they throw the football, you catch that football, or you don't catch it, but you're going to get hit, and that's what Toronto does well. They play good zone coverage.
This was an adjustment for Don Wilson too. He was accustomed to playing man-to-man while he was with Edmonton. He's playing a lot more zone with the Toronto Argonauts. This one is intercepted by the man sitting back there in the safety position, Chris Munford. Munford runs into one of his own men, linebacker Chris Gaines, but still gets the ball back to the 49-yard line. 12:03 remaining in the half, and the Argos take over on the Munford interception. Simon Fraser product Chris Munford, who may hold the distinction as well of being the only CFL player ever to be born in Nigeria, making the interception, playing that free safety position, simply sitting back there and waiting for it, Joe.
Well, that's what a safety is. He's a center fielder. But what a great block here by Barnes on Gaines. He sent him head over heels. Gaines was so dizzy he made the tackle on that last play on his own man.
I wonder how Bruce McNall enjoys the view from down at field level as he watches his Argonauts take over, 1st and 10. The ball is at the 48. Dunnigan throws that hitch screen to Jeff Boyd. And Sean Fody came up with help from Tracy Gravely to make the tackle.
Well, all they do, I hate that play. All they're doing, Don, is they're trying to say that you don't know how to tackle as a defensive unit. And Boyd he's got the football, but where can he go? And it's one of those plays that's sort of aggravating when it doesn't work. If it works, it looks spectacular because they run a long way if somebody misses a tackle.
Well, Winnipeg had a lot of success running that hitch screen. James Murphy used to be very effective with it.
I still hate that play.
2nd and 5. Mike Clemens makes the catch. And Greg Stuman came over to bring him down at the 45-yard line, but not before he had converted it into a 1st down Toronto.
Well, that's another example of Michael Clemens' ability. He can cut right angle corners, and what he did basically is take a right angle back inside. You don't see many ball carriers do that. They like the sideline because they can run out of bounds and not get hit. Clemens isn't that kind of a ball player.
Clemens lines up wide to the left this time. 3 receivers to the right. As a receiver last year, Clemens had 905 yards of his 3,300-yard total. This is Darrell K. Smith grabbing the throw behind Lance Shields, and Shields just prevented Smith from going all the way.
Darrell K. Smith has a brother that played running back in the National Football League. Same body style, same size. The way he breaks it off and runs after he catches the football looks like Sherman Smith of the Seattle Seahawks. That's his older brother. He would have been proud of him.
Last year, Darrell Smith was the leading receiver, 93 receptions, 20 touchdowns, equaling Pat Abruzzi's record for touchdowns in the season. 1st and 10, Darrell Smith, touchdown!
29-yard TD pass to Darrell Smith.
Well, this is a scene we saw so often last year, 20 times to be exact. Darrell Smith being congratulated in the end zone after scoring a touchdown, and he produces the first touchdown to the delight of owner Bruce McNall of the 1991 season.
Darrell Smith has that long stride But the thing that set this play up, as you can see, he's wide open. There's a reason that he is wide open. That's because of the outside receiver coming in and picking the defender. A well-executed play, but there can never be a pick called unless there's contact made. What's the contact made?
And the Toronto Argonauts with the point after by Lance Chomick, and they now lead by 7 with 9:51 remaining in the half. Well, turnovers can have such an impact on a football game. Following the interception by Chris Munford, it required just 5 plays for the Argos to put it in the end zone, and it was culminated in that 23-yard pass from Matt Dunnigan to Darrell K. Smith.
Matt Dunnigan has all his receivers spread out. There's 6 receivers across the field, and as you can see, they made the pick very clearly, opening it up for Darrell K. Smith. Untouched into the end zone. Little bit of contact.
Reggie Barnes on the kickoff return and out to the 35-yard line. He's stopped there by Keith Costello. 1st and 10 at that point for the Ottawa Rough Riders. The Ottawa Rough Riders have not beaten the Toronto Argonauts in 4 years, or if you want to be more precise, 1,460 days, because it was exactly 4 years to the day, July 11th, 1987, when they last posted a victory.
Damon Allen threw the interception, and I know he's upset about it. He's going to come back and get things going this quarter.
Obviously, he's going to put it in the air as he sends all his receivers out and throws over the middle, intended for Gerald Wilcox. Incomplete. That throw, or pardon me, James Ellingson, that throw just a little high.
A little bit behind the receiver. He's got to lead the receiver so that he can run under the ball or run into the football. There's no way to put the clutch in and go backwards and try to catch a football. So that little tough pass to catch.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 35-yard line. 9:22 remaining in the half. 13-6. The Argos lead it. Ellingson came to Ottawa last year from Saskatchewan. Pass to Brock Smith. He'll get a 1st down to the Toronto 54.
I like that, Don. I think a quarterback coming back after an interception, it's very important what he's thinking, what's in his head. I saw Steve Goldman talking to him. I know what he told him. He said, you're my quarterback. I know what you can do. We're going to stay with our game plan. Don't worry about the one that got away. We're going to go down and tie this game up. They flooded the zone on the wide side of the field. They spread the zone out, making a lot of room in the seams, and that was a nice seam pattern.
A 16-yard gain. Damon Allen to Brock Smith. It's Brock Smith on the receiving end again. This time his advance is limited to 9 yards by Carl Brazeley.
What you're seeing is a little better pass protection, I think, on the side of Ottawa. They seem to be picking things up, and they're getting the ball to the receivers that they want to. Brock Smith. Rodney Harding comes in a little bit late. I call these knockdowns. It's sort of just an irritating thing a quarterback has to put up with.
2nd and 1. The give is to Barnes. Big hole. First and 10. Rob Smith and Gerald Roper opened the hole for Reggie Barnes as he galloped to the 30-yard line. 7:33 remaining in the half.
Both the guard and tackle pull. They give it a misdirection, which takes care of the middle linebacker, and Reggie Barnes does a good job of breaking off of his block.
They rule that he made contact with the artificial turf at Lansdowne Park at the 31. It's 1st and 10 at that point. Damon Allen sees a hole up the middle, but Harold Hallman very quickly recovered to close it off at the 25. Gaines was blitzing again, and it appeared as though Rob Smith was the man who picked it up, Joe.
That's a street fight up front. Both sides are having a street fight. We don't always see what happens, but what a great pickup by the back on Gaines that time. And And Rob Smith is doing a super job of controlling the line of scrimmage.
Second and 4. Allen may try and run for a first down, and he dives to the 20. And that will be another Ottawa first down.
If Damon Allen gets the ball in the end zone this time, the fans are going to love him. They'll forget that they've ever booed him here at Lansdowne.
Well, there have been occasions in the past where Damon Allen has not been the most popular individual with the fans at Lansdowne Park. Last year, there were many games where the cry went out for Ken Hobart to come into the ball game and take over. Hobart is no longer with the Rough Riders, of course. John Conjemi now is the backup. Tony Kimbrough, who was with the team last year as well, is gone. He's out in BC. Pass complete to Conrad. Another first down. Don Moan and Reggie Pleasant made the tackle.
That's the value of having an Eddie Brown. When you play zone coverage and there's an Eddie Brown that you have to cover, they drop out of there so deep that when you dump it off to a back, he can make some yardage. You don't see anybody in the picture because Eddie Brown, number 2, has driven his defender, Pleasant, number 2, so far into the end zone.
First and goal, Ottawa. The ball is at the 6-yard line. 5:14 remaining in the half. The Riders looking to tie it. There's a penalty flag. A time count violation, I believe, against Ottawa. That is the call.
That is bad. That really hurts because they're in great field position. Now, when you get down around the 10-yard line, it's a little tougher. Although they can make a first down from the 11, they can still make a first down and not have scored a touchdown. But that's tough. Tough down there to have a time count violation. Somebody made a mistake. It was either the play being sent in not soon enough or it was the quarterback.
First down over again. Complete to Barnes. Stopped at the 2. Taken down on the far side of the field by Don Wilson and Darrell Ford.
They are doing everything to the Toronto defense. They're coming out with nobody in the backfield. 6 receivers on the line. The next play, they come out and run a power play with the counter action. So great job here. Reggie Barnes came out of the backfield, sort of a run show run on the pass formation. And Reggie just drops his shoulder and makes the yardage. He looks like he's in a leg hold trap. He still makes 3-4 yards.
It will be second and goal. The ball is at the 2. Touchdown, Reggie Barnes. Just dives into the end zone. Doug Sams, the assistant coach with the Ottawa Rough Riders, said that in '91 he expected Barnes to be a more complete player, that he would be capable of more blocking and receiving than he was in his rookie season. So he scores the touchdown. John Conjemi will throw the ball to Terry Baker. The ball is still live, remember. Brian Warren picks it up. And it is still alive as Gaines dives on it at the 44. But we have seen before where a ball on a failed convert attempt has been live and returned the other way for 2 points. But not this time. Toronto maintains a 1-point lead. Reggie Barnes capped that 75-yard scoring drive, putting it in the end zone from 2 yards out.
This is what I like to call the running of the bulls. This is what I like to call the running of the bulls. The guard pulls, the tackle pulls, the running back takes a fake one side, gets the handoff, and comes back and runs right to the end zone like a bull. Reggie Barnes into the end zone. Good looking football play.
Clemens on the kickoff return. There's a penalty flag. This one could be called back by a holding call. There was a penalty flag back at the 15-yard line, and I think they are going to bring it back. So that big effort by Mike Clemens appears to have gone for naught by the holding call. 4:31 remaining in the half. 13-12, Toronto leading.
What you see on a lot of kickoffs and punt returns is penalties, and I think the reason for that is you're not allowed to block below the waist. You're not allowed to block a man from behind.
First down.
There's a very small strike zone that you're allowed to hit somebody on, and I know people get irritated by penalties all the time on a kicking game, but you're virtually only allowed to hit him around the numbers. You can't hit him in the head, that's a penalty. Can't hit him under the waist, and you can't hit him from behind, so what do you got left? And some of those guys on special teams, every team has 10 football players that do almost all the special teams. Some of them are small receivers, so it's not much of a strike zone, is it, Don?
Donegan has hit on 9 of 14 pass attempts. The touchdown, a 23-yarder to Darrell K. Smith. But his favorite target appears to be Trumaine Johnson, who has caught 3 so far. This one goes to Clemens, and he's caught immediately by Hunter. Well, this crowd at Lansdowne Park is enjoying what they've seen so far tonight.
That's what they have to do. Ottawa, in order to control Toronto, has to make sure tackles. And that's a chest-on-chest, drive him back where he came from tackle. Good play.
Out of Henderson State, Daniel Hunter played in the NFL with both Denver and San Diego before being signed as a free agent in August of 1989 by Ottawa. Penalty flag, and this is going to be a time count violation against the Toronto Argonauts.
Adam Rita said one of the things that bothers him, he's always been in the press box. He said one of the things that bothers him as a coach, now the head coach, he's got to be on the sidelines, and the problem with being on the sidelines is that there's a lot of things going on. I think the play came in late. That's not like Matt Dunnigan to get that kind of a penalty.
Ball goes back to the 5-yard line, 3:25 remaining. It will be 2nd and 15. Donegan to the sidelines. He misses Darrell K. Smith. And as a result, Toronto will send out the punting unit. 13-12, the Argos lead. The season opener for both teams, the initial game of 1991 in the Canadian Football League. And this is the first punt of the ball game for Hank Alyssa.
Watch Eddie Brown. This could be a rush with a wall return. Returner deep is Eddie Brown, and they love to spring him on wall returns. That's what it is.
Darrell Ford makes the tackle as Eddie Brown brings the ball back to the 35. So with 2:56 remaining in the half, great field position for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Well, Joe, as you said, the Ottawa Rough Riders were setting up the wall to the wide side on that punt return by Eddie Brown. However, he didn't get there. He tried to go up the middle to get past Ford initially, and it was Darrell Ford who made the tackle down at the 36-yard line. Sideline pattern. Stephan Jones was the intended receiver. Allen had pretty good protection on that one.
You get the feel that Ottawa is starting to take over the line of scrimmage, the street fight up front. They're starting to handle the, I think they probably, a little bit of a weak pass rush by the Toronto Argos, unless they're blitzing. Jones made a nice cut, but the ball was thrown out of bounds.
It's 2nd and 10 from the 36. Fakes over the middle of the Brown. Touchdown. the sidelines and then hit a wide open Eddie Brown over the middle.
I think that fake really unhinged Reggie Pleasant, and Eddie Brown made the nice cut, and the ball was perfectly thrown. The fans love Damon Allen here in Lansdowne.
I think Eddie Brown was surprised that he had that much separation between himself and Reggie Pleasant, generally acknowledged as one of the best corners in the CFL.
And Reggie Pleasant looked into the backfield, and that's the cardinal rule when you're in man coverage. Don't take a peek.
Terry Baker attempting the point after, but he kicked it wide. That's twice now that the Ottawa Rough Riders have had problems with the snap on a convert attempt. On the previous touchdown by Barnes, they did not ever get a chance to try the kick. That time, Baker's kick went wide of the upright. So the score is 18-13, Ottawa leading. Brown taking that throw and putting it in the end zone. And when a player with the speed of an Eddie Brown is that wide open and gets that close to the goal area, it's tough to prevent him from scoring.
This Eddie Brown is faster than a turkey the day before Thanksgiving. Mike
Clemens from the 13-yard line. 2:27 remaining in the half, and Clemens is tripped up at the 25. On the sidelines, let's bring in Scotto.
Well, Don, the number of questions he's had to answer may be enough to make Reggie Ismail wish he was playing, even with the injury. Nonetheless, he has agreed to join us on Live at the Half here at Lansdowne Park, and we'll also go live to Edmonton to check in with a new member of our broadcast crew on the CFL on CBC. Dan Kepley standing by there. And Don and Joe will have a first-half highlight all on Live at the Half.
At the press conference just prior to tonight's game, someone asked him about the number of press conferences he has attended. He said, I may be setting a CFL record.
He also said if he's caught as many passes as he attended press conferences, he'd be setting a CFL record. Matt Dunnigan's a little upset. He thinks he was interfered, and he was. When you look at interference, is the man hindered, and is the ball catchable? Obviously, the answer was yes on both of those.
Number one. First down.
Andre Francis interfered with Tremaine Johnson, who was trying to go down the sidelines. 2:20 remaining in this first half.
1st and 10.
Andre Francis is another of the new additions defensively that the Ottawa Rough Riders feel will make them a better football team and a contender in the Eastern Division this year. He's lined up against Tremaine Johnson. Dunnigan goes the other way to Clemens. And Clemens bounces off a hit and converts it into a first down.
I don't understand Greg Stuman making all the tackles at the line of scrimmage. Usually he's upfield making knockdowns on the quarterback. But he's dropping off, coming back. Greg is such a quick athlete that he breaks away, reacts back, and does help his teammates on the pinball.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 51. 1:59 remaining in the half. Ottawa leading 18-13. Jeff Boyd makes the catch, and he has two Ottawa defenders on him immediately, Lance Shields and Jeff Braswell.
It's a little rub play that they like to run, where the two inside receivers rub for the wide receiver coming underneath. Boyd hasn't had a lot of repetition either. He's been doing more negotiating than he's been running repetition.
It will be 2nd and 5. The ball is at the 54 of the Rough Riders. Kelly, the ball carrier, and he got across the 50 of Ottawa. That will be close to a first down, depending upon the spot.
Kelly with the ball.
And apparently it's going to be close enough for a measurement.
I always love these spots, Dan, because technically if your knee goes down before the ball goes down, that's where it should be spotted. But one official may see it one way, the other official see it the other way, and they split the difference. So it's about 4 chain links from a first down.
So on 3rd down with 1:32 remaining in the half and trailing by 5 points, the Toronto Argonauts are going to go after it. The Ball just shy of the 49.
Well, is this going to be a run into the wall? Nope, they got him spread out again. This is something Toronto does well.
Matt Dunnigan will keep. He was driven back, but his forward penetration should be enough for that first down.
You know what kind of football player Matt Dunnigan is? I remember Matt getting hurt on a play like this. He wanted to make so many yards. I mean, he thinks he can make a touchdown on a quarterback sneak. Hurt his thumb 2 years ago and was out for a couple ball games. Oh, here we go again. He's just a tough, rough football player, and he wants to make more yards sometimes than is necessary. No, now it's either his eye or his thumb. But that's Dunnigan. He's such a competitor, such a fighter. Look at him. He's telling a trainer what to do.
He's complaining that he got poked in the eye by one of the Ottawa defenders, and I think he
Jeff
is
Braswell
suggesting that it was Jeff Braswell.
It must be Jeff, because Jeff and Matt are good friends. And I know what Matt was doing. He was inviting him to a party after the game.
1:14 is the time remaining, and Dunnigan will have to go out of the ball game.
Oh, it might have been Greg Stuhlman. I didn't see Jeff in there, but the left guard looked like he moved a little bit prematurely, so they might have been lucky to get off without a penalty on that play.
Dunnigan is still down, and this enables Ricky Foggy on the sidelines to
well, Matt's not going to let
reps.
Ricky. He won't let Ricky in there. Remember what happened last year. Foggy just didn't miss a beat last year when Matt Dunnigan got hurt and scored how many touchdowns, and he had 4 games where he had over 100 yards rushing.
Well, Ricky Foggy last year, when he came in place of the injured Matt Dunnigan, fired 23 touchdown passes. He only had 8 intercepted.
Why didn't you ask me who brought him into the league? You always ask me about the bad guys.
Another CFL recruit by Joe Galat, Ricky Foggy, now in there at quarterback, replacing Matt Dunnigan. But Matt Dunnigan does not appear to be seriously hurt. Ricky Foggy can run with the ball, but he won't get far. Stopped by Greg Stuhlman after a gain of 2. Ricky Foggy last year ranked number 7 in CFL rushing.
He didn't fool Stuhlman and Braswell because they both played for the Lions, and they know Ricky's favorite play is a quarterback draw.
50 seconds remaining in the half.
That's a CFL record, incidentally, for a quarterback to gain 4 100-yard games rushing.
On second down. Foggy's pattern to Jeff Boyd over his head. Foggy did not anticipate coming into the ball game. Dunnigan stayed down on one knee for a little more treatment than probably was necessary, simply to give Foggy an opportunity to warm up on the sidelines.
Yeah, and I think Matt wanted to make a point to somebody on defense that poked him in the eye, so he gave he gave Ricky certainly enough time to warm up, but that pass was way overthrown.
Eddie Brown is the lone man back for this Hank Olisic punt. He's only kicked once tonight. That was out of the end zone. Brown lets it bounce into the end zone and will concede the single point. So with 20 seconds remaining in the first half, Toronto Argonauts pick up a point on the Hank Olisic single, and now it's a 4-point game. A 56-yard kick by Hank Olisic for the single point.
You know what Ricky Foggy's saying? He said, I needed to warm up more. We had the receiver open, and I overthrew him. He was just a little tense, a little tight with the throw, and it sailed on him. Ricky Foggy is always smiling. I don't know why he plays football that way, but he'll take a tremendous hit, and he'll get up smiling.
Brown comes wide to the left. Handoff to Reggie Barnes, and Barnes is out across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Don Lone was there to make the tackle. 17 seconds remaining. It appears as though the Ottawa Rough Riders are quite content to run out the clock, the final seconds in this first half, and go to the dressing room with a 4-point lead.
Steve Goldman's got to be feeling good right now. His teams look sharp. They have a good crowd.
As a head coach, he's 0-7 against the Toronto Argonauts. He'd like to take that 0 off his career coaching record against Toronto tonight, and he does have the advantage heading to the dressing room at halftime here at Lansdowne Park. It's Ottawa 18, Toronto 14. Stay tuned for our halftime show.
Boys and girls, you're about to see that Joanne Polak is not the only for your... As you can see,
It is Ottawa 18, Toronto 14 at the half, and we welcome you to Live at the Half at Lansdowne Park. And watching his first 30 minutes of CFL regular action with more than a passing interest was Rocket Ismail. Your impressions? Your impressions of the first half, sir?
Oh, I think everything is going pretty well. You know, a lot of guys getting their first-time jitters out, trying to make everything work out, but it's pretty exciting. I think it's going to get better as the second half goes on.
Now for the hard part of the interview. What of the injury? I know there were huge demands on your time after you signed the contract. Was it possible for you to stay in shape heading into camp, and did that factor at all into the injury?
Oh, I was definitely in shape coming into camp. I worked very hard. Even when I did go off on a road or something, I was able to get a good workout in wherever I was. So it was just a matter of getting, when I think you're leading to like the track. When I was running track, I wasn't able to get quality track workouts in, but as far as being able to work out for the season, I was definitely ready.
Rick, when you're away from the team, you're injured, you're unable to practice, unable to play, it is easy to lose your focus on football. Have you been able to maintain that focus?
Definitely. It's not hard at all. You know, I've always been, since in high school, been able to keep a tough mental and also physical attitude as far as the approach to the game, and I know what it is that I have to focus on to continue or to have any kind of success, so it wasn't hard at all.
That pretty much answers the question I was going to ask you next, but I'll ask it anyway. Appearances on the Arsenio Hall show are fine, a new clothing line is fine, but you do realize then, obviously, that all of that is not possible unless you play and play well.
Well, things like that, those are just like extra things as far as I'm concerned. Football is what makes those opportunities for me, and it's like my main focus is football and nothing else.
When you signed that lucrative contract, did you have any idea what you were getting into? And I'm talking about leading your life under the same sort of scrutiny that Wayne Gretzky lives his under in hockey.
I thought that it would be very intense, and I was prepared for it, and I am prepared for it. So it's not as distracting or as, I don't know, as mind-boggling as people might think.
So you would say that you've handled the scrutiny and the speculation well?
For myself,
yes.
I haven't let it affect me at all, no.
How's your family handling it?
My mother and everybody's doing well. When I tell them that there's nothing to sweat, nothing to worry about, they believe me and they just keep it like that. So it's no problem at all.
Wayne Gretzky giving you any advice on how to conduct yourself and get through this trying time when you're unable to play?
He's given me a couple of hints, and he's told me that as it goes on, it'll get easier for you, and things will come along where the people in the organization and myself will be able to make things a lot more comfortable. So it's like, it's no problem at all, and he's really gave me some helpful hints as far as that's concerned.
You look at the countless photographers on the sidelines, guys like me asking you for no end of interviews. Obviously the pressure is building by the minute when you're unable to play. Some pressure for you to do a lot of things, be almost magnificent when you do play your first game. Do you acknowledge that pressure?
No, I don't. I don't put any more pressure on it than I have to, and all of this, I don't look at it as pressure. It's something that is a part of the game, and you have to deal with it.
If you were a betting man, would you bet that you would play next week?
I would, but then again, the doctors could come in and spoil everybody's odds, I guess. So.
I'll just say this, we're doing the Hamilton-Toronto game next week, and I hope that you're playing and far too busy to be doing interviews like this with us.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, thanks for your time, Rocket. I appreciate it. Stay with us when Live at the Half returns. We'll go live to Edmonton to speak to a colleague of ours, former linebacking great Dan Kepley, standing by there. Live at the Half continues now from Lansdowne Park in Ottawa. In the 70s and 80s, Dan Kepley was a ferocious linebacker with some great Edmonton Eskimo teams. But folks, don't worry. I assure you that he's a whole lot more elegant as a broadcaster, and we're happy to say that he's a member of our CFL on CBC crew this season. He'll be joining us frequently in the broadcast booth and joins us live now from his residence in Edmonton. Dan, first of all, welcome to our CFL on CBC crew.
Well, thank you very much, Scott. It's a real great pleasure to be associated with another championship club like CBC.
Nicely said. Now, listen, you've seen a lot of great players come and go in the CFL during your time. Before we talk about the West Division, let me ask you for your thoughts on this Rocket story.
Certainly a cool character. I think this kid's got more ability than people are giving him credit for right now. A lot of pressure on him. I think he's going to handle it, but the great thing about it is that the Rocket's going to be able to get on the field and put a stop and put an end to any doubt that anybody's talking about right now as far as his potential and his ability to perform as a CFL receiver.
What's going on in the West Division? Who do you like out there, and do you buy the talk that Calgary is once again the team that could finish first?
Without a doubt, I think Calgary, Wally Bruno's got them going down there. They made some significant changes out here in the West. 11 starters were replaced out here. Ronnie Lancaster in Edmonton has got a real good crew of guys here, new coaching staff, new philosophy out there. I think it's going to be a tremendous season out here. Bob Obilovich in BC has a chance, hopefully, to have Doug Flutie healthy for a whole season, and if it does, John Gregory can come on. So you throw them all up in the air and holla goose and see what happens.
Hey, Cap, I thought the Eskimos finally got it right when they went to the broadcast booth for their head coach, don't you?
Without a doubt. So the only thing I can hope right now is that maybe head coaching is in my future.
BC Lions got a guy from your alma mater, Stu Hill. That makes them better, but does it yet put them in the class of Edmonton, Calgary, and Saskatchewan?
I don't think Stu Hill's going to make a significant difference, only from a point of view that they lost a tremendous amount of players. They lost an Alondro Johnson. They lost a Willie Pless. They lost other guys that are very, very capable out there. And the big thing with BC is that they have the ability to score a tremendous amount of points, but can they stop people?
What about Saskatchewan? Grey Cup champions just a couple of years ago, but the allegation is they've slid defensively since then.
Well, without a doubt, I think you can see that some of the players in there are starting to get a little long in the tooth, and at this point in time, primarily some of the offensive linemen are starting to get up there in age too. These guys have something to prove, and I think that you will see a real championship club rise to the occasion for this coming season.
All right, Dan, we're looking forward to working with you this season. You know there's a seat in the broadcast booth for you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Scott. Glad to be here.
Now back at Lansdowne Park, let's send you back upstairs to the broadcast booth to join Don Whitman and Joe Galat.
Yeah, Scott, our other new addition in the broadcast booth this year, Joe Galat, the new addition to the Ottawa Rough Riders. Joe, who was very impressive in that first half, was receiver Eddie Brown. He made his CFL debut last year with Calgary. The Rough Riders are glad they were able to sign him as a free agent.
Well, Eddie Brown is 4.3 and a 40, which means to the fans at home that he's fast.
Yeah. I figured that out.
Yeah. So I think what they have is they've got some things they can do underneath with Eddie Brown. They send him deep, dump it off to the back, dump it off to the back, and then all of a sudden they give it to Eddie Brown, and that's the threat.
The play of the half was the pass to Eddie Brown, a 36-yarder, really set up, Joe, by a good fake by Damon Allen.
Yeah, I think the thing that helped it so much was that Damon Allen bought some time. He stagger stepped to his left, he pumped, he caught Reggie Pleasant looking into the backfield, man-to-man coverage, and you know, it looks like Eddie Brown just didn't know what was going to happen. He said, I'm wide open. I hope I catch the football. And that's really tough sometimes when you're wide open to concentrate enough to catch that ball because you know the end zone is only 3 steps away.
Well, it's rare you see that much separation between Reggie Pleasant and the receiver.
I think what the reason that you saw it was that you can see the eyes of Pleasant. I think he's looking at the quarterback rather than his own man. And certainly there's nobody left on the field to get anything done, and the other receivers do a good job of coming over blocking.
So Eddie Brown put it in the end zone. The Ottawa Rough Riders figured out how to get it in the end zone on 2 occasions. Now they have to figure out how to get the ball back to the kicker on the point after. We'll be back after this.
Few quarterbacks direct an offense as efficiently as Hamilton's Mike Kerrigan when he's on. Head coach David Beckman hopes he is when he takes his team down the highway to face Toronto. Adam Rita's Argos have a potent offense of their own, even more potent if quarterback Matt Dunnigan can throw the ball to Rocket Ismail. When Hamilton plays at Toronto Thursday, July 18th at Skydome on the CFL on CBC.
Well, as an 18-14 score would suggest, play in the first half was fairly even statistically. The Toronto Argonauts, despite trailing by 4 points, had a slight edge.
Okay.
Turnovers, one by each side, and they led to points. The Toronto Argonauts threw the ball more than twice as often as they ran it. Well, there was a little more balance between the passing and rushing game for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
A little different than what Adam Rita told us initially, that he wanted to throw the ball and not run very often.
Clemens on the kickoff return. Brought down by Sean Foudy up at the 37-yard line. Matt Dunnigan, you'll recall, was injured late in the first half. Apparently he is all right and will continue in the second.
One of the keys to this ball, one of the keys, I think, to the ball game may be how well Matt Dunnigan does in the option plays. I know he can throw the football, I know he can scramble, but the option play looks like it has a chance to go with Matt keeping the football.
His touchdown throw, a 23-yarder, went to Darrell Smith. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 37. The draw play with Keith Kelly. Stopped by the safety, Scott Flagel, but not before he got up to the 46-yard line.
Matt is getting the football to his receivers, and what is unusual with Dunnigan is to get the ball to the backs. So he is spreading the ball around, and it's probably perfect because you want to get your wide receivers the football more often than anyone else.
2nd and 2.
2nd and 2 after Kelly picked up 8 yards. Dunnigan gives it to Clemens, and Greg Stewman is there to make the tackle.
They call Greg Stewman a rush in. But Greg Stewman, I can still think of being in Kelowna. And in Kelowna, there was a guy named James Quick Parker that took Greg Stewman under his wing and showed him how to play that rush end position. He actually took 2 people. He took Matt Dunnigan away and ran out and made the tackle. Great football play by Greg Stewman.
Hank Olisic had a booming 56-yard single to pick up a point. And that gives him a punting edge over Terry Baker. Eddie Brown on the return is stopped at the 40-yard line.
Return of 10 by Brown.
You know, an interesting comment by Greg Stewman. I recall him saying, when you play that wide defensive end position, you're probably in the most high-profile job on defense. If you do it well, quarterback sacks and recognition flood your way. But if you play it poorly, you're just as liable to attract attention and headlines. Damon Allen gives to Barnes. Harold Hallman, a former Rookie of the Year with the Calgary Stampeders, makes the tackle. A loss on the play of about 3 yards.
Loss on the play.
Damon Allen has been getting the defense jumping, and he's been getting the football almost equally to all of his receivers. I would throw the football a little bit more to Eddie Brown if I were Damon.
Well, he may in this play because he's looking at 2nd and 13. Brown is going to go deep. Can Allen find him? No, he's going to have to try and run for a first down, and he'll get it. Well, that's what the Toronto coaching staff was concerned about with Damon Allen, his ability to get outside and run with the football.
Damon Allen makes it fun. He gives you what you like to see in the CFL. The quarterback running with the football is like the undefensible thing. He's the 13th man if there's nobody to cover.
1st and 10 from the 53-yard line. Conrad with a gain of 5, maybe 6 yards. Harold Hallman and Rodney Harding made the stop.
Rob Smith was a guy who they gave a lot of credit to preseason, having a great camp. And I think what you see with Rob Smith is a lineman that's been around about 10 years, and he's winning those street fights up front. He's doing a good job over Warren.
A pickup of 6, it's 2nd and 4. The ball between the 46 and the 47. This one is knocked down by the middle linebacker, Chris Gaines. Stephan Jones was the intended receiver, but Chris Gaines went up to knock that throw down from his middle linebacking position.
That looked exactly like Dan Kepley. I have to think of that. He has the same hands as Dan Kepley. On that play, he tried to beat that ball to death.
Are you listening, Dan?
Only joking, Dan.
Just one man back to accept the Terry Baker punt. That's Mike Clemens. That bounced off his shoulder pads, but fortunately for the pinball, he got it back at the 15. Rob Kodanovic was downfield to make the tackle. 11:22 remains in the third quarter. The Ottawa Rough Riders hanging on to a 4-point lead with 11:22 remaining in the third quarter. Bart Hull, one of the celebrated off-season signings, but not by the Ottawa Rough Riders. He was drafted by the BC Lions, and then, unable to sign with the Lions, he was traded to the Ottawa Rough Riders. He was not drafted by the Ottawa Rough Riders. That's what I was attempting to say.
He's got a nice number on there, number 16. I think his father and his brother wore that same number. And he's just been complimented by George Cortez, the special teams coach, telling him what a good job he's done. And I think George Cortez has done a good job. The Ottawa special teams look really strong.
1st and 10 from the 15. Trumaine Johnson unable to hang on. It will be 2nd and 10. Yes, people may forget that his famous father, Bobby Hull, wore number 16 when he first broke into the National Hockey League. And, of course, his brother wears number 16 for the St. Louis Blues.
And now Bart is wearing number 16. And actually, they had to cut a player to get him into that jersey, but things worked out.
Trumaine Johnson has been the favorite target in tonight's ball game. Quarterback Matt Dunnigan.
I know why
on the receiving end of 3 throws.
I know why Matt likes to throw to the wideouts. He hasn't seen him all training camp, so he's trying to give him some practice.
He fakes. Didn't fool Glenn Kolka. Now Dunnigan runs for his life, tries to dive for that first down, and will be close at the 26.
This is really a neat game to watch because both quarterbacks dare you to have good pass coverage. And then they just take off and run and make a bad play a good play. I think both Damon Allen and Matt Dunnigan are very similar. And what they shine at is when the defense is doing a good job, if you can believe that.
Well, strangely enough, they were teammates with Edmonton. Similar styles, and a situation where Damon Allen was unhappy about the amount of playing time. He wound up coming to the Ottawa Rough Riders. Subsequently, Matt Dunnigan was traded.
Well, Edmonton always does a great job of scouting. Ray Newman is the best, and well, maybe he's not quite as good as Roy Shivers. In fact, that's what Roy Shivers told me. But there's 2 great scouts in the CFL, and you got to look at Edmonton's quarterbacks and marvel at how many good ones they have.
Well, Dunnigan, diving on the sidelines, did reach that forward marker. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 26. High throw, but Clemens manages to haul it down, and then he's dragged down immediately by Patrick Wayne.
Patrick Wayne is a football player. There are a lot of people who, you know, when you see Patrick Wayne doing the things that he can do as a pass rusher, as an open field tackler, he's an amazing athlete. And Matt is getting some pressure. Kolka is coming in, doing a pretty good job of pass rush, but I thought that was a great tackle. Good job, Patrick Wayne.
Flag, 2nd and 6. Intercepted by Andre Francis. He pitches the ball off. That was a forward lateral to Daniel Hunter. Depending on the call, it may very well be Ottawa ball, but it won't be a touchdown because that was a forward lateral as Andre Francis pitched off to Hunter.
Of course, the key is when the whistle was blown because Chris Schultz picked his hand up prior to the snap, so it's illegal motion, illegal procedure by the offensive team.
Procedure. Toronto 54. Decline. Offside pass. Ottawa. 1st down.
Andre Francis protesting to the official that he did not think he threw that ball forward to Daniel Hunter. But you see Chris Schultz and Skemp, 67 and 64, both pull out of their stance prior to the ball being snapped. That was the procedure call against Toronto.
Andre Francis, this is his specialty. He loves to lay off, watch the quarterback's eyes, and pick it up. Did a good job on the interception.
Conrad, the ball carrier, to the 20-yard line. And that's an Ottawa first down. Reggie Pleasant and Carl Braisley make the tackle with 9:17 remaining in the third quarter.
You got to give a lot of credit to Damon, a good center for Ottawa. He's been controlling the line of scrimmage up front, and Conrad's just running off of the block he makes on the nose tackle, Hallman.
Reggie Barnes cuts into the middle. He'll be close to another first down, driving to the 10-yard line. Again, Smith and Roper.
Reggie Barnes is very solid running back. Got a nice block by Gerald Roper and Rob Smith to spring him. They're controlling the up front of Toronto.
Second and inches. Conrad searching and should have the first down. He had to pick up about a half yard, and he got inside the 10 before being hauled down by Don Wilson.
Steve Goldman's going to watch the films next week and tell him to not dance when it's 1 yard to go, to just get the yard and not the touchdown. Get the first down first. He's got to be feeling good about what they're doing up front, and it's where you win football games, up front. The street fighters in the trenches.
First and goal from the 9-yard line. Good fake by Allen. Being chased by Warren, looks into the end zone. It's intercepted. Chris Munford with his second interception of the game. The safety picks off the throw in the end zone.
When the quarterback scrambles.
7:49 remains in the half as the Argos, Chris Munford, snuffs out an Ottawa scoring drive. Well, Chris Munford has certainly had a great start to this 1991 season. His second interception of the ball game, and that wipes out a potential Ottawa scoring drive. I think Eddie Brown was the target of Damon Allen on this throw.
Well, Damon's trying to throw a touch pass, and there's too many people in there to throw a touch pass. You've got to throw a bullet. When you're scrambling and your receivers are trying to find a seam, he has got to throw the thing like a dart. And what he did is he tried to drift it in. Mumford came across, knew that Eddie Brown was the intended receiver, and jumped in front. It was a good alert play by the safety on two interceptions, two very different interceptions.
First and 10, Toronto. They are at the 25-yard line. 18-14, Ottawa leading. 7:37 remaining in the third quarter. Wide open on the sidelines is Andrew Murray, and he takes the ball to the midfield stripe. So often after a turnover, Dunnigan will try and come back and hit you with the big play.
Matt Dunnigan is such a competitor. If you ever see the opposing quarterback have a good game, particularly throwing the ball or running the ball, Matt is going to mimic that, and he's going to take the challenge and try to do exactly what the other quarterback has had success with. Here he comes back to the backside on a throwback pattern. He completely fooled the cornerback who was watching Dunnigan's eyes.
First and 10 from the midfield stripe. Jeff Boyd makes the catch on the sidelines, and he's caught by Lance Shields at the 30. But the Toronto Argonauts very quickly move into scoring range.
That was an excellent cut by Boyd, and I'm really amazed that Matt got him the ball on the break. If you can throw the football to a receiver just as he's making the break, you're doing something. Of course, Matt had to pay the price, because here Glenn Kalka comes in and says, "How you doing, Matt?"
And I don't think Matt responded. 2 plays, 30 and then 26 yards. Dunnigan throwing to Boyd again. He makes an attempt at the ball, but would have been out of bounds anyway.
Well, fortunately for Dunnigan, the pass rush pulled up, because he'd have had an awfully tough time there. Jimmy Gravesley came in. Gravesley didn't really let him have it with both barrels. He sort of pulled up, but that doesn't feel good in the chest. Those helmets have a lot of points on that face mask, and when you get one right in the chest, it's not a lot of fun.
And the delay is because of Jeff Boyd going down on one knee. Tracy Gravely, who came into the ball game replacing the corner Charles Wright, who went out in the first half. Gravely is playing a halfback position. Lance Shields has moved out to the corner, taking over that corner spot from Charles Wright. Dunnigan tonight has passed for over 200 yards, but has only been able to put it into the end zone once. Jeff Boyd went down on one knee and now goes out of the ball game.
As Matt throws the football, he takes the headgear probably on his left hand and the chest.
So Paul Massotti comes into the ball game as a replacement for Jeff Boyd. It's 2nd and 10, the ball at the 30-yard line. Dunnigan throws deep for Johnson, incomplete. Well, he's being covered by Andre Francis.
There again, great pass rush. You know, we like to count knockdowns on the quarterback. It's significant. How many times did the quarterback have to get up off the ground? Greg Stuman put him on the ground that time. So Matt Dunnigan in that drive has shown tremendous courage. He's had to get back up off the ground so many times.
Trumaine Johnson and Randy Marriott failed to show up for the preseason game in Hamilton, and Adam Rita said initially he was concerned that maybe they'd been involved in a car accident. Then his next reaction, he was really annoyed and angered at them. And then when he found out that Johnson missed because of personal problems, he sympathized with him and was happy to have him back. Lance Truman adding the field goal to bring the Toronto Argonauts within 1 point of the Ottawa Rough Riders with 5:51 remaining in this third quarter.
Adam Rita's got to be happy with that, particularly the defensive play of Mumford. He's done a good job, and I think what you see does two completely different interceptions. The interception on the end zone play, much different than the one that took off and was intercepted as a center fielder. So Mumford has shown the ability to jump in front of a receiver when he's covering him man-to-man, and he's also shown the ability to play back there as a goalie and not let that ball get deep down the middle. He's been doing a good job, and I'm sure Denny Meyer's really proud of him. And Denny's brother Dave is having a birthday party over at Denny's house, so Denny's got something to celebrate if it keeps up this way.
I hope his brother is supplying all the necessary ingredients for the party and that Dennis isn't doing it.
Dennis deserves it. He deserves some ingredients.
Stephan Jones on the kickoff return. This is about the only involvement Stephan has had as a ball carrier in this ball game. They've had problems trying to get the football to him as a pass receiver.
Now Prunster is trying to get some message across there, and they're telling Skemp, now Skemp, when the ball is on 2, you go on 2. That means on the second hop, not the first hop. The coaches just give him a little love pat. They say, now son, listen to the cadence.
Dick Maloney, the offensive line coach, doing the work on the sidelines. Allen was looking for Brown, but that was a good defensive job by Reggie Pleasant. We talked earlier about how Pleasant was beaten badly by Brown on the touchdown. You saw evidence right there of why Reggie Pleasant is considered one of the best corners in the league.
Well, Reggie's taken the challenge. You know, he said, you can beat me once, but you're not going to beat me again. We'll see if he's right.
Second and 10. The ball is at the 35. 5:16 remaining in the third quarter. Just 1 point separating the Ottawa Rough Riders, who have not beaten the Argos since July 11th, 1987. Over the middle to Brock Smith, but he won't get the first down thanks to Carl Brazeley.
Tackled by Brazeley.
Last year, John Kangemi was in the employ of the Toronto Argonauts, traded to Ottawa for Brian Warren.
Steve Goldman likes Kangemi, particularly as a relief pitcher. He said he's a good passer. He's got a great head, great eye for the game. You can see they're always having conversations going on about that halfback blitz that they saw on the last play. I know what Jimmy just told him. Coach, they were blitzing with the halfback.
Clemens was unable to get that football on that third down punt. And he was brought down by Rob Prodanovic with 4:42 left in the third quarter. That's either the smallest bus in the city or the world's biggest driver.
Well, I think what he's done is he's forgot to pay the fare, and he's got to get out, check the air in the tires. Oh, now he's going to go. He's rooting for the winning team. Whoever wins, he turns the bus in that direction.
A good crowd in attendance at Lansdowne Park for this season opener. The official crowd count has not been announced, but I would guess that it could be the largest season opener that they have ever had at Lansdowne Park.
With or without the Rocket, they're having a good time here.
They're enjoying the fact that the Ottawa Rough Riders are leading, but their advantage has been reduced to a single point. And this is Mike Clemens, the ball carrier, bouncing off a couple of tackles and picking up about a 5-yard gain. You know, Clemens last year had 3,300 all-purpose yards, 519 as a runner, 905 as a pass receiver, 831 in kickoff returns, and 1,045 on punt returns. And Adam Rita told us yesterday that he figures that Clemens could better those figures this year.
He likes Clemens in every respect. He likes Clemens coming out of the backfield as a receiver. He likes him on the punt returns and kick returns, and of course on the quick hitting draw plays.
2nd and 5. Dunnigan over the middle to Jeff Boyd, and what a hit he takes. The ball comes loose. Scott Flavel, the safety, really decked Jeff Boyd.
Well, I think that's a case where somebody should dial 911. When you throw that football over the middle against Flavel, he loves to see that. He loves to have a free shot, and that's what he took, and the crowd loves it even more.
But they're ruling that the whistle had gone and that he was down before he lost the football. Let's watch. Well, he did hit the ground before the ball popped loose, and the ground, of course, cannot make you fumble. Clemens, the ball carrier, out to the 42.
A hit like that always fires up the crowd. They like to see that, but it fires up the team as well. When Flagle makes a play like that, the rest of the teammates say, hey, I can do that too. I'm going to see if I can hit somebody just as hard as he can.
And Jeff Boyd and Scott Flagle were teammates a few years back when both were with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
That always helps to put an extra hit on your teammate. Your old buddies.
Flagle, after leaving Winnipeg, went to Calgary, Hamilton, and then last year to Ottawa. He plays that safety position for the Rough Riders. He plays it well. On the sidelines, Andrew Murray makes the catch. He managed to keep those feet in bounds.
That's an excellent play by Andrew. That's all receiver because he made sure that his feet were in bounds. Matt threw to the target. And Matt was pressured again by Greg Stuman did a good job on the pressure. Watch Matt deliver the ball. Andrew drags the feet and concentrates on receiving that football. Nice play.
2:18 remaining in the third quarter. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 52. Darrell Smith forced out of bounds by Daniel Hunter. He appears to be about a yard short of a first down.
Hello. Adam Rita's thinking we got the psychology going in pass receivers. When you get a pass reception like this, Darrell Smith can make plays. He can make yards after he catches the ball. And Matt has got his rhythm now. He's throwing to the receivers he knows he can count on. Andrew Murray, he's been at practice the whole preseason. Darrell K. Smith has been at practice. He's feeling good about it, and so is Adam Rita.
Well, his forward progress was enough for a first down. It is 1st and 10 from the 42. Fine catch by Andrew Murray over the middle. A first down at the 15-yard line.
First down.
He undoubtedly has a lot of people in Ottawa who remember his play with the Carleton Ravens. That's where he went to school.
And he played well for the BC Lions in 1988. Matt delivers the ball. Andrew has played the receiver perfectly. He's taken the inside position, concentrated on catching.
Pass is complete for a gain of about 6 yards to Trumaine Johnson.
Complete to Johnson.
You know, it was interesting. Adam Rita said, we're going to throw the football this season. Rest assured of that. He said, run is almost a swear word in our offensive vocabulary.
His first half wasn't like that. They ran the football quite a bit, but now Matt has got that confidence going that happens when a quarterback completes a series of passes.
A pickup of 7. It's 2nd and 3. The ball is at the 8. 39 seconds remaining. Kelly, the ball carrier, stopped after a pickup of about 1.
Kelly, the ball carrier.
There's an old axiom in short yardage that says you give it to the best back over your best lineman on short yardage. That was an option play. It's got to be a little bit questionable. If they were going to go for the 3 yards, I think they probably could have given it to the pinball and maybe had a little different idea on how to make the first down. Fake option play, give to the back. It takes a lot of people pushing a lot of people out of the way to make 3 yards on just a straight dive.
Adam Rita decides to take no chances on 3rd and 2, or at least it would appear he isn't going to take any chances, as Lance Chomick comes in to try a 14-yard field goal.
Dunnigan is the holder, so you never know.
And Lance Chomick is good from the 14-yard line, and with 1 second remaining in this 3rd quarter, the Toronto Argonauts move in front by 2 points. You know, you talked about Ricky Foggy always having a smile on his face. Adam Rita always seems to be smiling on the sidelines as the head coach of the Argos. He seems to be rather relaxed.
That's stark evidence that he's a rookie coach. Any coach that smiles on the sidelines, he's probably new at it. But Matt Dunnigan, I talked about him as a holder. I can recall a ball game last year when the score was 68-12, and he went out to hold for a field goal or for an extra point. He picked the ball up and actually went for 2 to make it 70. So you never know with Matt Dunnigan holding if it's going to be a fake placement. But that guy would never pick the ball up. He would put it down and make sure that they got the kick away. And I resent people calling him a wide receiver because he is not a wide receiver. John Candy could play on the offensive line. He's a tough guy.
A penalty flag.
Delay of game, Toronto number 8. Back.
A delay of game on the kickoff following the field goal. 1 second remaining in the 3rd quarter. You know, you talked about that 70-18 game. That was against Calgary, August 20th last year. And when the Stampeders got hammered by that margin, head coach Wally Buono, who played for you in Montreal, went back to Calgary and decided he had better have a leadership check with his football team. And he got a lot of people who came to the fore and helped carry them to a first-place finish.
They haven't looked back since, and they're preseason favorites to win the West this year.
Reggie Barnes on this kickoff return runs into a traffic jam, including a lot of people wearing black jerseys, and that will end the 3rd quarter. So with 15 minutes remaining in this season opener at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, the Argos lead by 2. To start the 4th quarter, it's 1st and 10 Ottawa. They are at their own 41-yard line, trailing by 2 points. Handoff inside will produce a gain of about 4 yards for Reg Barnes. They spot the ball right at the 45. It will be 2nd and 6.
Irv Damon and Brian Illebrun are doing a good job of controlling the upfront people.
Both sides with experienced offensive lines. Damon Allen fakes. Now he's going to run. He'll get the first down. Don Moan, the linebacker, came over to make the tackle.
Allen with the ball.
Allen went down, and as he gets up, he is indicating that that right hand is a little sore.
Well, that right hand is what he needs. Damon saw the blitz coming, and what he did is pull the ball down, and run to where there are not very many people on the field. Good reaction, and that was just a reactionary ball player, but you don't like your quarterback holding his right hand.
David Conrad, the ball carrier, stopped at the 50-yard line. He ran into a lot of people, including Darrell Ford and Rodney Harding, and the man in the middle, Chris Gaines. Statistically, the Argos have the edge, and they also have a slight lead. 2018 is the score. Those two turnovers, particularly that last interception by Chris Munford, proving very costly to the Ottawa Rough Riders as Munford picked it off in the end zone.
Ottawa's staying with him on special teams, doing a good job on their coverages.
Damon Allen got that play away just in time, but he slips and falls right at the line of scrimmage. It was 2nd and 8, so the Ottawa punt team comes into the ball game.
Well, Allen had the same thing in mind, but unfortunately, he got tripped up by that 50-yard line. It was a little bit higher than the other yard lines.
Terry Baker to punt from his own 45-yard line. One man back. That's Mike Clemens. Good high kick. Clemens waits for it. He's boxed in, but then dances away. And look out! Greg Stuman is blocked by Pleasant. Another block as Clemens tries to cut back inside and is tripped up at the 3.
And the rocket has been launched. Or is that the missile or the stealth fighter?
It appeared as though Clemens had been boxed in over at the 15-yard line, and he bounced off a couple of tackles and then converts it into a 93-yard punt return. Last year, he returned 2 punts for touchdowns. He got a couple of key blocks, one of them from Reggie Pleasant.
They call Clemens the pinball, but I would call him Super Ball. Carl Brazeley had to come downfield, made a key block, and did a good job, but Clemens to get all the way down after being hit 5 times has certainly showed great effort. Watch Clemens give people his body, and like a Super Bowl, he bounces with more momentum after they get something on him. Look at that. He just squirts out to the side and just has a great acceleration. What a fun guy to watch. Watch Brazeley with a great effort coming down to get Terry Baker. And that, you see Stuman with a great angle, and he is picked up right at the end, or he would have cut him off sooner. There's Stuman on the ground.
And Carl Brazeley trying to get back into the play to throw another block. And it was Sean Fody who prevented the touchdown. Carl Brazeley in there trying to do some additional blocking.
I coached Carl in Montreal, believe it or not, a whole 100 years ago, and he called himself at that time Dr. Death. But he's developed into quite a warm-up. You see him yesterday in the warm-ups. He had a ball stuck behind his jersey, and he had a Arabian robe on, and he was doing all kinds of crazy things. But that's a great football player to make 2 plays on 1 punt return.
So it's 1st and goal for the Argos from the 3-yard line. Dunnigan on the quarterback draw, touchdown.
Well, Matt knew what he was going to do. He spread the receivers out. And what happened with Matt is everybody had man-to-man coverage, and he said, I can beat 4 charging linemen any day. And he did. He juked, he went through, scored the touchdown, and that could be a key play in the ballgame.
Well, the key play, I would suggest, was that 93-yard punt return by Clemens. 1 yard better than his own personal best as an Argo. And with the point after by Lance Chomick, the Toronto Argonauts have opened up a 9-point lead.
An update on a couple of injuries that Don and Joe referred to during the course of the telecast. Carl Brazeley will likely be back in at his halfback spot for the Argos. He got kicked in the groin area, as we sometimes say in full contact sports. And Damon Allen, the Ottawa starting quarterback, has a cramp in his hand that's making it difficult for him to squeeze hold of the ball with his throwing hand. He's been handing off a lot. John Congemi's warming up, but they're going to give Damon Allen a few more turns to see what happens. Don?
Well, we saw evidence of Damon Allen having problems with his hand when he ran for that first down and slid on the artificial turf. If he is unable to continue, of course, John Congemi will come in against his former teammates. But the Argos now with a 9-point lead with 12:21 remaining in the ball game. Stephan Jones on the kickoff return. Out to the 41-yard line. 1st and 10 from that point. Ed Berry was there to make the tackle.
People may wonder why there are so many injuries. AstroTurf is about like playing in your own living room, or worse yet, maybe out in your driveway. It is a hard surface. It's an abrasive surface. And many times players will slide. It's just like going on sandpaper.
The injured Toronto player is Keith Costello. He's been working on special teams and is the backup linebacker. Well, they've just announced the attendance here tonight, 23,254. I thought the stands were a little fuller than that. However,
that's because John Candy's down there.
Obviously, they did not get the walk-up crowd they had anticipated. That's one thing that they do usually get in Ottawa is a large walk-up crowd.
They rely very heavily on their walk-up crowd. This stadium is very similar to being in Saskatchewan. The crowd is enthusiastic. It's very similar to being in Winnipeg because it is a football stadium. It's not a track stadium. And the crowd is right on top of you. It sounds like 50,000 people here, just like it does in Saskatchewan, just like it does in Winnipeg.
Well, Ottawa was the site of the 1988 Grey Cup game. The 1991 Grey Cup game will be played in Winnipeg. And it will take place on November 24th. And Grey Cup tickets will go on sale at 9:30 this Saturday at the Winnipeg Arena box office. So any of you fans who are planning on heading to the Grey Cup game, you can start making those ticket plans right now. Carl Brazeley back into the ball game, and the pass was intended for Jock Climby, knocked away. It will be 2nd and 10. Damon Allen with that right hand still causing him some problems. Continuing at quarterback.
Damon's kneading his hand. He's trying to get it to relax. The muscles have tightened up on him a little bit, and he didn't really fire that ball. He sort of floated it in. It's been a problem for him.
Second and 10. Conrad is open on the sidelines. He should have a first down. If he doesn't, they're at least close enough that the Ottawa Rough Riders will gamble.
Stephan Jones did a good job of clearing on that zone coverage. We call this a back pattern. The takeoff, the bow, and the arrow. The bow never got over there, but the arrow certainly did, and Conrad caught the arrow route.
Rodney Harding put a big hit on Damon Allen just as he released that football.
I don't like to see them go high on the head. I don't think there's a place for that. I think you can hit a quarterback.
Jock Climby makes the catch down at the 35.
And Damon Allen answered the hit to the head with a perfect seam pass. He drops back, reads the zone coverage, and put the ball right into the seam. That's how to answer a defense that hits you in the head once in a while.
Jock Climby for the first down, initially drafted by the Toronto Argonauts out of Queens. This one is intercepted, picked off, his 3rd of the ball game by safety Chris Munford. That one was deflected, and an alert Munford was there to scoop it up. James Ellingson was the intended receiver. It went off his fingertips, and Munford has his 3rd interception of the night.
If you were to guess, you would say Mumford's the only guy open, but that's not what happened. They ran a curl pattern. Both curl people were open. Damon delivered it a little bit high, but when a ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch it, because if it's deflected, the bad guys get it.
Argos first and 10.
And those turnovers have certainly proven costly tonight for the Ottawa Rough Riders, particularly when they had that drive going in the third quarter, and Munford made the interception in the end zone. Dunnigan gives on a counteraction to Kelly, and Kelly has a first down.
First down, Argos.
The Ottawa Rough Riders have been shut out so far in this second half after enjoying an 18-14 halftime lead.
They've been knocking on the door, no question about it, but there's a guy that's gotten in the way twice, Mumford. He's made 2 interceptions down by his goal line.
The third interception of the night for Chris Munford. Reggie Pleasant, a teammate, twice has had 3 interceptions in a game. Carl Graisley has had 3 in a game, so has Ed Berry. So Munford feels he just has to duplicate the performance of some of those other people in the secondary.
Greg Stuman, Adam Reed is probably wondering, how can I block Greg Stuman? He has made almost every tackle on those running plays, and he really put the wood on Clements. That was a great hit, and I'm amazed at Greg Stuman coming back to the inside the way he's doing it.
Second and 5. The ball is at the 44-yard line. 3 receivers line up to the left. Dunnigan gives to Smelly on the draw play. He's got a first down. Smelly has been alternating with Kelly at that fullback position.
It was a good job of turning the defensive line rush to the outside. You can see the offense. Skimp does a nice job of just walling off the defender, and Smelly's got that first 5 yards free, and then he makes some yards on his own by lowering his shoulder going towards the goal line.
First and 10. The ball is at the 53 of the Rough Riders. 8:24 remaining in the game. Low throw to Darrell K. Smith, caught immediately by Daniel Hunter. In case you were wondering, as an Argo record, 3 interceptions in one game is not the standard. Art Johnson, way back in 1961, had 4.
In 1961, they didn't throw as much as they throw today. And he had 4 interceptions. He must have caught all 4 of them himself.
So those 4 interceptions, an Argo team record.
Steve Goldman feels now they have to stop them. To stay in this ball game, they have to stop them, not let them get even a field goal.
Dunnigan with good protection. Now some pressure as the pocket collapses, and Glenn Colter will be credited with a sack. John Kropke was also there. 7:36 the time left in the ball game. 27-18, Toronto leading.
As a key play in this ball game, Glenn Colter, they're running a line stunt. They came in, hit Matt Dunnigan, brought him down on a double team. That's the only way you can bring Dunnigan down. You got to hit one on each side and sandwich him.
Good kick by Olisic. And it will sail to the back of the end zone.
We needed that.
Brown's going to try and run it out of there. But he won't get past the goal line. Don Moen was there to meet him head on, and I really don't understand that play. 7:04 is the time remaining. Well, the Hall of Famer, Ron Lancaster, is not with us tonight at Lansdowne Park. He's in Regina as the Edmonton Eskimos prepare to take on the Rough Riders, but his son, Ron Lancaster Jr., is here as an assistant coach with the Toronto Argonauts. He's a running backs coach after spending the previous 2 years at Acadia University. And this is our view from the press box as we are located right next door to the Toronto Argonauts spotting box. Sideline pattern to Wilcox. He'll have a gain of 6 yards. It will be 2nd and 4 with 6:50 remaining in the ball game. I really didn't understand Eddie Brown running all over the end zone, not just conceding a single point. They needed A touchdown and a field goal to win. Now it's a touchdown and a field goal to tie.
I think he got his signals crossed up. The ball was so deep he could only take the safety take the touchback. I don't understand why he tried to run it out. I understand the concept of being 9 points behind.
Procedure, Ottawa number 80, first down repeated.
The procedure call against the Ottawa Rough Riders. Brock Smith, the guilty individual, that takes the ball back to the 30-yard line.
Steve is telling them right now that we've got to get a drive going. We've got to stay with our best receivers. We've got to do what we have to do to get that ball moved down into scoring position to be in this ball game.
Trying to set up the screen. That was read by Don Moan. He came in to break it up.
That's what your linebackers are for. He did a great job of reading the screen setup. It's set up well. It looked like they were going to have blockers out in front of it. Don Moan came in and made a sure tackle. Damon tried to look him off. He tried to sell the pass and then come back to the screen, but Don Moan was way out in front of it and knew what he was looking for.
2nd and 19. Reggie Pleasant, or Stefan Jones comes wide to the right. Brown is lined up against Reggie Pleasant over on the far side of the field. Long throw intended for Wilcox, incomplete. Don Wilson was running stride for stride with Gerald Wilcox, and it will be 3rd and 19.
I think Damon Allen wanted to go to Eddie Brown. He had Pleasant got good coverage on Eddie Brown, and we got to give Pleasant full credit for that. But Damon wanted to do that. He wanted to come back to him. The offensive line a little bit frustrated now. Rob Smith had done a good job on pass protection. Damon's getting some protection. They got to get the ball back soon if they want to stay in the football game.
Well, the last time the pinball handled a punt, he returned it 93 yards. This time, Rob Kravanovic made the initial contact with him. And Bart Hull is in there on that special team to assist on the tackle with 5:27 remaining in the game. Steve Goldman is in his 3rd year as the Rough Riders head coach, the 5th head coach the Riders have had in the last 9 years. But prior to that, there was a lot of stability in the coaching area. They only had 3 coaches in a 29-year period. From 1956 to 69, it was Frank Clare, then Jack Gotta from 1970 to 73, and George Brancato from 74 to 84. Since then, Goldman has been the longest-serving head coach of the Rough Riders.
The professor, Frank Clare, is certainly legendary. Steve Goldman has slowly put together a good football team. I think you're seeing a tremendous battle tonight between 2 good football teams. It's been a solid game. The interceptions certainly have taken the wind out of Ottawa's sails on 2 occasions.
They only won 4 football games in Goldman's first year, 7 last year, and he wants to improve upon that this season. Matt Dunnigan forced out of bounds. Knocked into the Ottawa bench as he tried to tiptoe down those sidelines. He was knocked out of bounds at the 45-yard line. That'll be a gain of 6 yards. It will be 2nd and 4. Brian Bonner, the linebacker, bounced Matt Dunnigan out of bounds. .450 remaining. 2nd and 4. Both quarterbacks have been running with the football tonight. Draw play with Kevin Smelly. He'll be close to a first down. Kolka and Kropke were both there to make the tackle.
I'm impressed with both lines. They're having a tremendous battle up front. I think Kolka's made some big plays. Kropke certainly is coming along. Looks like Adam Rita is trying to send in some reserves. They're going to go for the short yardage, but I guess he's going to go to the wide formation. It's about a chicken lip away from a first down.
must have been an old chicken because it is a first down.
They got us again.
First and 10. The ball is at the 49-yard line. Sideline pattern. And they're ruling that Darrell K. Smith on the sidelines was out of bounds.
Well, now they've got to come up big. Ottawa, you see Steve Goldman yelling out to the defense. This is a big play for them in this football game. There's time in a Canadian game. 3 minutes is a lifetime, so they've got time to come back, but they need to hold them here.
The Argos just slightly over 50% on second down conversions. They'll convert another on this pass to Jeff Boyd. First and 10. The ball is at the 48-yard line with 3:50 remaining. You know, the Ottawa Rough Riders have not had a winning record since 1979. That year they were 8-6-2.
Jeff Boyd runs a nice route. He's hit on the hip. It looks like he's got a little bit of a pointer here as he comes up limping. But it is good. It's effective, and it's a first down with just a nice turnout.
First and 10. The ball is at the 48. 3:23 remaining in the game. 28-18. Toronto leading. Kevin Smelly with a hole for a gain of about 7 yards, maybe even 8.
Their success that Toronto's having on the draw play is because they're spreading out the defense. They've got the defenders out covering wide as though the backs are receivers.
So the Toronto Argonauts controlling things with only 3 minutes remaining. They lead by 10.
This football season, Ron Lancaster and the Edmonton Eskimos have a plan to deliver.
Have you got your Eskimo tickets yet? We need you there. We've got lots of great seats. Gee, I hope this is where the announcer comes in.
That's right, Wes. The Eskimos start the season with Green and Gold Rush 91, Picnic in the Park, and much more Wednesday, July 17th, Commonwealth Stadium. Get your tickets now.
Because we know where you live.
In 7 nights' time, we'll be at Skydome in Toronto to watch the renewal of the oldest rivalry in pro sports. Hamilton Ticats make the trip down the QEW to face the Argos, whom we believe will have Rocket Ismail in the lineup, telecast at 7 Eastern. And viewers in Southern Ontario, note, you'll be the beneficiaries of the generosity of Bruce McNall, who has lifted the blackout. And here's the man who's got writer's cramp, John Candy, sitting in the stands tonight at Lansdowne Park, and he has been signing autographs, we understand, since his arrival, but he has taken in some of the action. Don?
Since becoming involved with the Argos, John Candy has also become tremendously involved with the Canadian Football League. And he is doing everything possible to try and promote the league, to market the league, and obviously sitting in the stands signing autographs throughout the entire game the way he has tonight. He is helping to promote the product.
He's not signing autographs. He's drawing up plays for Dunnigan.
The old Statue of Liberty play with the pinball. He loses the football at the goal line. After all that effort, are they going to rule that he made contact with the turf before fumbling? Or is it a turnover? It is a turnover. 39 yards, and the pinball loses the ball, trying to get in the end zone at the 1.
And you can be sure that Michael Clements is upset with himself. He sets up to show pass. Matt Dunnigan drops back. It's a Statue of Liberty play. Handing the ball, he's got some good peel back blocks. And once the pinball gets yardage beyond the line of scrimmage, he can make a big play happen. You just can't knock him off his feet. It's incredible because he has so much effort and because he makes right angle turns, and oftentimes the ball can't stay up with him.
He'll be upset with himself, though. He desperately was trying to get into the end zone and lost the ball at the 1-yard line. Glenn Kulka was the victim of one of those moves by the pinball, and as Kulka went down, he appeared to hurt himself, and he was helped off the field a few moments ago. And this is Dan Ferrone now, who is being looked at by the Toronto training staff down at the 1-yard line.
It's hard to stay up with the pinball, and when you try to move as quickly laterally as he does, and you weigh 265 pounds, sometimes those quadriceps aren't as strong as the pinballs with his 200-pound weight. Dan Ferroni looks like he's going to be all right. You can't hurt a lineman. They don't get hurt. They get bumped up, but they don't get hurt for very long. They're not allowed to be hurt. There's only about 5 or 6 of them.
2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the game. You know,
Look
Jeff
at Ferroni.
Boyd.
He's got that jersey sewed on so tight, the defense could never grab a hold of it.
1st and 10 from the 1-yard line. Damon Allen throwing down the sidelines. It's intercepted. Chris Gaines picks it off, a knuckleball that floated. And the Toronto Argonauts get the ball right back at the 11-yard line. Gerald Roper and Hallman were involved in some pushing and shoving down at the goal line, but this ball floated and Chris Gaines went up and made a one-handed interception to get the ball right back into the Argonauts' offensive hands.
Chris Gaines looks like a football player. He looks like he could be an offense or defensive lineman, but he showed some skill on that play. He showed that he's like Dan Kepley. He can drop back deep in zone coverage and make some receptions. Don't be mad at me, Dan.
2:20 remaining, and this should pretty well do it with the Argos taking over 1st and 10 at the 11-yard line. You know, I was going to say when you talked about the contact of the offensive lineman, for Jeff Boyd, who has not had the benefit of any contact at training camp coming into this game, some of the hits he has taken tonight will leave him as a very sore athlete tomorrow.
He'll have some ooey marks on him, and I'll explain that later.
Incomplete. He was trying to get the ball into the end zone to Darrell Smith. It will be 2nd and 10 from the 11.
You know what an ooey mark is, Don? That's when you get up in the morning after the ball game and you look in the mirror and you see all these things over your body, bumps and bruises, and you say, ooh, ee.
2nd and 10 from the 11-yard line. But those bumps and bruises don't hurt as much when you're on the winning side.
Well, he's got a chance to get some reps next week, and I think both wideouts have certainly had their opportunities. They've had the football thrown to them, and Matt Dunnigan will do that. He'll throw the ball to all of his receivers, but you can tell they haven't had that communication, that silent communication that happens between a quarterback and receiver. Adam Rita said he was going to shoot out the lights, and later in the year he would blow off the roof, so I think we've got a lot to look forward to in Toronto's offense.
Well, last year without the Rocket, the Toronto Argonauts established a league record as they scored 690 points. With an explosive athlete like the Rocket to complement Mike Clemens, who knows what they might do. End zone pass, Jeff Boyd, touchdown.
Like it was a bit underthrown, but Matt likes to do that. He likes to do the throw behind. Here you see Jeff Boyd coming at the sideline, and what he wants to do is to give the impression he's going to try to run deep, and then Matt underthrows him, so he'll turn around and take the ball short. Defender had to play it deep. He's one-on-one. He cannot not take away the deep pass first.
Well, last year, the Argos had to track down Jeff Boyd and get him back into uniform. This year, they had to track him down again and get him back into uniform. And in his first game as a Toronto Argonaut in this 1991 season, he scores a touchdown. And with the point after, it's 35-18. Toronto leading Ottawa. So the length of time between Ottawa victories over Toronto is extended beyond the 4 years.
Adam Rita said that the hardest part of being a head coach was on the sidelines, but it's not hard now when you've got the game under control and you're patting guys on the back. That's the most fun that a coach can have. You know what he's thinking? I love every one of these guys. You know what Steve Goldman's thinking? I'd like to take these guys and punch them right in the nose. Why didn't they do what I told them? Adam Rita's going, gee, they did exactly what I told them. Steve Goldman has nothing to put his head down about. I think he's got a good ball club, and without the interceptions, it might have been another ball game.
Well, that interception down in the goal area by Chris Munford, his second of the night, may have really turned this football game around.
There he goes. He can kick field goals from 60 yards, but he can't keep it between the 65-yard lines. Explain that one.
So Hank Olisic, who started the ball game by kicking one out of bounds, will take the ball 5 yards further back and try it again with 2:12 remaining here at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, the first game of the season. The Toronto Argonauts will return home to take on the Hamilton Tiger Cats a week from tonight, and we'll have that game for you on CBC television, and hopefully the Rocket will make his CFL debut at the Sky Dome.
He said the Rocket got a lot of reps in training camp, and that's probably why he pulled his quadricep and didn't get quite as many reps at Notre Dame University. He would probably like to have gotten some reps tonight. I got the feeling watching him on the sidelines, particularly after Clemens made the long run, he'd like to have some of that.
Bart Howe on the kickoff return, and he is stopped at the 37-yard line. Don Wilson was there to make the tackle. Howe basically has not seen much work other than on special teams.
And on special teams, you're allowed to do some high sticking, and he certainly has been doing that.
Next week, the Ottawa Rough Riders travel to Edmonton to take on the Eskimos. So Ron Lancaster, who has his Eskimos at Taylor Field in Regina for a date tomorrow night against the Rough Riders, I'm sure we'll be watching this game with great interest. Damon Allen won't get a chance to throw. He's hauled down by Mark Napier-Kowski. Both coaches late in this ball game freely substituting backup players now, and Napier-Kowski gets an opportunity for a quarterback sack and makes the most of it.
Well, the Napper is he's a football player. He's been around. He was over at Hamilton. He's with the BC Lions. A lot of experience. He's traveled so much, he knows he can get a discount on the U-Haul trailers.
Allen almost intercepted by Don Wilson. Wilson had that one right in his hands. Could not hang on.
Well, that's tough for Allen. He's had some pressure. Warren was in on him, and I know what he wanted to do. He wanted to get the ball downfield, but that's a tough situation, and I'm sure that Damon feels bad about those interceptions. I wouldn't fault him on the interception that was tipped. I think the other two, he probably could have used a little better discretion. But he's a player, and he showed a lot of effort tonight running the football. Terry Baker is impressive. He kicked field goals tonight, did the punting. He's shown that he can do both, and that gives them another roster spot.
And Clemens has shown he can do what he does best, and that's return punts. This time, however, he is corralled by Daniel Hunter. You know, I talked about that interception in the end zone as though it was a key play, which it was. That 93-yard punt return by Clemens was another key play in this football game.
Well, Clemens, there's no question he's got that ability to go all the way at any time, and that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on defenses or on special teams coverage.
Mike Clemens tonight has contributed 253 total yards to the Toronto attack.
That's a good night's work, and on a couple occasions he was faster than the ball. He's had trouble holding on to the ball.
Oh, look out! Dunnigan is hit from behind. The ball comes loose. That helmet came flying off Lloyd Lewis's head, but the Ottawa Rough Riders take over. A big hit from the backside on Matt Dunnigan. Daniel Hunter was blitzing from his halfback position, and Dunnigan never saw him coming.
Well, Matt didn't see this at all, and that's not like Dunnigan to let him have the free shot. But one of the disadvantages of having a spread formation, if you let that backside rush come in and it's unblocked, it can hurt your quarterback.
So Daniel Hunter makes the hit. Lloyd Lewis recovers the football after it was knocked away from quarterback Matt Dunnigan. It's 1st and 10. Ottawa, the ball is at the 30-yard line. James Ellingson was the intended receiver in the end zone. He was overthrown. He had both Munford and Don Wilson covering. It will be 2nd and 10. And again, more pushing and shoving up at the line of scrimmage.
Well, this is the time of the game when people start to talk to each other. I think it looked like Gillybroom had a difference of opinion as to what the defense was saying to him.
So it will be 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 30-yard line.
I think the extra official has helped. They haven't had a lot of penalties. It seems that they get a better view of the field. And what we really were worried about, I think, is that having 7 officials, you may have an extra amount of penalties. But I think it's worked the other way.
I think Jacques DeCarry, the referee, was informing both captains that he didn't want any nonsense over the final minute and 20 seconds of the ball game. Another end zone pass, nowhere near Eddie Brown. Actually, it was between Brown and Brock Smith, who were both down in the end zone. Not close to either of them.
They're going to take another shot at it, as they rightly should.
It will be 3rd and 10 with 1:14 remaining. The ball is at the 30-yard line. 35-18. The Toronto Argonauts leading the Ottawa Rough Riders.
3rd down.
This opening week of the Canadian Football League, Toronto here in Ottawa tonight. Tomorrow night, Calgary is at BC. Friday, Edmonton. Or tonight, I should say, Calgary's at BC in addition to this game. Tomorrow night, Edmonton at Saskatchewan. And then on Saturday, Winnipeg is in Hamilton. End zone catch by Brock Smith for the touchdown. They're ruling that he didn't catch the football. I guess they are. He's protesting.
That's why they have the extra official, to make those calls, and the official was in good position. They were in man-to-man coverage, the officials, and he ruled that it was a trap, and that's a very tough call, but if you're behind the receiver and on top of the ball, you can see that. Damon Allen leads in perfectly. It's a well-thrown ball. Brock makes the adjustment.
Well, maybe that ball popped loose when he came down, because it certainly looked as though he had it in his hands when he extended. Incomplete, intended for Gerald Smith, being covered by Hunter.
After all the hits that Matt Dunnigan took, you think he'd run a draw play. A short time to go, eat up the clock, but Matt Dunnigan is Matt Dunnigan. He runs a rollout so that he can take another hit before he goes home tonight.
2nd and 10 from the 30-yard line. Pretty good numbers for Matt Dunnigan in his 1991 debut.
Anytime a quarterback gets 300 yards passing, it's a good night. The blitzing and the rush that he's faced, 300 yards, are very respectable.
Draw play with Smelly. He won't get the first down as we move into the final minute of the football game. Kropke was there to make the tackle.
Well, you see draws by Kelly and Smelly.
They've been alternating at that fullback spot for the Argos tonight.
I think the defense is relieved when it's a Kelly or Smelly draw. I don't think they want to see Clemens.
Well, Clemens has certainly racked up the yardage tonight for the Toronto Argonauts.
The thing that's impressive with Clemens, every time you see him make a different move. He has the lateral ability, the ability to move laterally, and he also has that acceleration. That when he turns upfield, he can do what he has to do.
Hank Olisic stands at his own 24-yard line to launch this 3rd down punt. Only Eddie Brown is back. They're trying to set up the wall to the short side. J.P. Escuerdo, however, prevented the Ottawa Rough Riders from setting it up as he was the first man downfield.
They've done a good job of containing Eddie Brown, and you get the feeling that if Eddie Brown gets the corner, he can go for a long way.
29 seconds remaining. The Toronto Argonauts celebrating an opening game victory.
Willie Gillis is the backup quarterback, and Dunnigan's getting some congratulations from him. Darrell K. Smith likes the way Dunnigan throws as well.
Well, we thought that we might see John Kangemi in the late stages of the ball game, but Damon Allen is staying in there. There's the screen for Reggie Barnes, and Rodney Harding came over to make the tackle. Don Moen was initially in reading that screen to Barnes.
They've done a good job of preventing the screen tonight, but I think what Steve Goldman is looking for is to get Damon Allen some confidence. He's had some turnovers. I don't think he wants to take him out with a bad feeling. Had that been a touchdown, you would have seen Kangemi. The play that was not ruled a touchdown, he wants him to have some success. Then Goldman would have taken him out.
Allen can't find a receiver. Allen got away from Napier-Kowski. Throws it over the middle and underthrows James Ellingson. And just 3 seconds remain in the game. Eddie Brown was way downfield and he was wide open, but Allen couldn't find him.
Watch the frustration with Eddie Brown. He wants the football. He wants to do some things like he did in the first quarter. That's a tough thing because the quarterback is scrambled. You found yourself open, and he just doesn't get the ball to you.
And this should be the final play of the ball game. Brian Warren thought he had a shot at Damon Allen. Mark Napier-Kowski thought he was going to get a quarterback sack, but Allen escaped both of them. Little swing pass to Barnes. On the sidelines, Barnes cutting back into the middle, gets away from Wilson. And Rodney Harding brings him down just shy of the midfield stripe. And that is the final play of the football game as the Toronto Argonauts open the season with a 35-18 triumph over the Ottawa Rough Riders. So a successful head coaching debut for Adam Rita.
Adam's got to feel very good about it. The defense got the turnovers. The offense certainly looked effective, both running and passing the ball. So they're showing that they're two-dimensional, and the defense bent, but it didn't break. Special teams came up with a big, big play in the game on the punt return.
And there were many who were wondering how the Toronto Argonauts would react in their opening game of the season in view of all the turmoil that has surrounded them over the past couple of weeks. Adam Rita suggested he didn't think it would bother the team once they stepped onto the field, that they were trying to put it all behind them. And when you have a player such as Mike Clemens, who racked up 253 total yards tonight, including a 93-yard punt return, a lot of your problems can be put to rest. And the Argos win it by a score of 35-18.
A 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey! Who knows it's got that air thing? No shoes. Who knows it? Stop. This is ridiculous. I'm an athlete, not an actor. Who knows it's got that air thing? Where's that music coming from? Who knows it's... You know I don't have time for this.
But I do. Hit it.
Yeah! Who knows it's got that air thing?
The issue's been decided in Game 1 of the 1991 CFL season. The Argos settle it with a 17-point victory, thanks in large part to our Molson MVP. Safety Chris Mumford campaigned successfully for the award with 3 interceptions. It was a night that cried out for a star who was playing, and Mumford intercepted this ball. The Argos turned it into a scoring drive. His following 2 interceptions both snuffed out Ottawa touchdowns, so he played a huge role in tonight's victory. Chris Mumford is our Molson MVP. And Adam Rita is the winning head coach. He is with us now. Adam, first of all, you get the win in your first crack at it, first game as a pro head coach in the regular season. I suppose it's a game you will not soon forget.
No, it's one I'll remember for a long time. We had so much adversity and things happening to us, and our guys played well.
Well, the adversity you refer to had so much to do with the Rocket Ismail controversy. You rose above it and showed you still had a pretty good football team.
Yes, we're good. You know, I think that our guys proved that. The defense, you know, they really came through for us in our special teams. And Mike Clemens, he's just one of the guys. Chris Mumford, our O-line, you know. We did what we had to do.
You run the offense, lead the defense to somebody else, but I suggest you had to notice Chris Mumford tonight.
Oh yeah, I always say, come on defense, and they rose to the occasion when we turned the ball over.
Now just imagine how good you could be with Rocket Ismail in the lineup next week if he's as good as you believe he is.
Well, I got to thank management, Mike McCarthy, and the owners for bringing him in. I think that he'll be an added plus to our team. You know, but Boyd and Tremaine Johnson are going to have a night too. So, you know, we're going to have a lot of weapons. It's just deciding how we're going to use them.
All right, Adam, congratulations on the win. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
So the Argos did not have Rocket Ismail tonight, but they had more than enough to beat the Ottawa Rough Riders. It's the first time in 5 years the Argos have won their season opener. It's now been exactly 4 years since Ottawa beat Toronto. The Rough Riders fall by 17 tonight. Next telecast in the CFL on CBC 1 week tonight will be at Skydome in Toronto as the Argos entertain Hamilton and hopefully launch the CFL career of Rocket Ismail. Join us for Sports Weekend on Saturday. The lineup includes the Calgary Stampede, Indy car racing, and diving from Montreal. Thanks for watching tonight, and good night from Ottawa.